left bloodstains on the carpet. As she ran around the table, he could see she was unable. When she ran into the bedroom, she was struck down, it was your doom. Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sound at the window, then he struck you a crescendo. Annie, he came into your apartment, he left bloodstains on the carpet. Then you ran into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom. Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been hit by a smooth criminal.
This is smooth, right?
So they came into the outway. It was Sunday, what a black day. Mother was resuscitation, signing heartbeats, intimidation. Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sound at the window, then he struck you a crescendo. Annie, he came into your apartment, he left bloodstains on the carpet.
Sing it at home, everybody.
Then you ran into the bedroom, you were struck down, it was your doom. It was your doom. It was your doom. It was your doom. It was your doom.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Annie, are you okay? You've been struck by a smooth criminal. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Trying to get myself in the zone now. All right. Let me get this off. I am trying to figure things out. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm your host with the motherfucking most. Chill motherfucking Murray. You are now tuned to live from the spot. Shout out to everybody tuned in, not tuned in. You know how we do it and how we rock. All right. So, what's going on? What's going on in the world? What is not going on in the world? It feels like wintertime is when everything just starts crashing down. You would think the summer is when everything starts heating up, right? But I guess that's what actually happened. Things just started heating up for the winter, so to speak. So we'll just start it. We'll just start it. I noticed nobody's in the chat. I kind of didn't make an announcement like I usually do. I just said fuck it. I'll just start. And let people come in as they usually do. Because it's early for a lot of people. There's some people that still at work. Some people that didn't know, like I said, I was even going to be on. I've been on Twitch. Enjoying my free time on Twitch. With Marvel Rivals and Marvel Zombies. And I need to finish out House of Ashes. I need to finish the House of Ashes game. And then post the video. Post part 1 and 2. I was supposed to post part 1 this morning, but I figured I'll just end the game first and then post part 2. You know? All right, so. Yeah, I do want to talk about the cat. Okay. I'm just looking at my itinerary. So I'm going to get into the NBA stuff. What is this? Oh, it's Motherless. I'm bugging. Oh, yeah, and the YBZ thing. I don't know if I talk about Bishop Martin. I might get into the Traplo Ross thing, but funny how it started with Stephen A. Smith going at LeBron James, right? I thought that was pretty ironic that Stephen A. Smith just started getting real, like, bold talking shit about LeBron James. And I was like, oh, okay. Usually when people do that, things start to happen to their careers or just miscellaneous shit start to happen. But I noticed Stephen A. got real bold about it this time. So I was like, what's he know? Then somebody get bold talking shit about somebody that's higher up, they know something that person can't say. Similar to how Nicki was doing with Jay, or still is doing with Jay in Rock Nation. Notice how Jay ain't said nothing back. Desiree Perez hadn't said nothing back. Like, all these people are just saying, we'll just leave it at internet shenanigans and hopefully it just dies down, right? There's some things that just won't die down. Like the NBA gambling scandal that just happened. And I can't even say just happened. Hell, I've been saying for years. Ever since Kobe died, I stopped watching sports in general because I started to really notice a lot of different shit. I kind of stopped watching during the heights of the LeBron era because, like I said, I just started noticing how rigged the NBA started feeling. Just started feeling rigged. It's always out with the old star, in with the brand new star. And as soon as something happens, or the new star or the star retires or gets killed or whatever, a la rest in peace Kobe Bryant, all of a sudden, the main star of the league just starts getting, a lot more exposure. He starts to get all of the accolades, all of the achievements done, and, then he gets his own special moments. Like, remember when LeBron, they pretty much was selling tickets. Like, they made a whole spectacle and promotion of the ticket sales just based on when and where LeBron was going to hit, the Kareem record or whatever, right? Okay. This is little things that just stuck out to me. That just made me say, it's no reason for me to watch the NBA, the NFL, any of those things, because they're all WWE to me. They're all fake. They're all rigged. And they're all pretty much ran by the mafia. What's going on, D? What's going on? How you doing this evening? Okay. All right, so to fill everybody else in and myself in a little bit, I was just watching a couple things just to, catch up a little bit on what actually is happening with this whole NBA gambling scandal. I mean, certain things, stick out to you like, oh, well, that's always been going on. Like, for example, the mob ties to this, like literal mob ties. Yeah, you're right. We never got the Kobe versus LeBron final. And like I said, that's by design because we know who's that. Put it like this, right? Every single, I want to say, since LeBron came into the league, every single Christmas, they try to figure out a way to have Kobe and LeBron going against each other. Remember that? when LeBron first got into the league, it was always the Cavs versus the Lakers. Who's gonna win? Ooh. Or when he got on, because Kobe was on his way out. When notice that's another thing too, right? Kobe was really on his way out when the whole Miami Heat thing happened. Right? Kobe was pretty much almost done with the league when the Miami Heat thing was happening. He was in his last years of being the prime star. And when LeBron went to the Heat with Wade, it was pretty much the dawn of the new era with LeBron coming in. Or should I say with LeBron taking over the crown that Kobe was going to leave behind. They set things up pretty smooth. Now, but then I noticed after, LeBron's getting into his retirement years, there is no NBA star. Or should I say there's no NBA superstar. Right? There's stars in the league, but who's the actual face of the league and the superstar if LeBron goes? I've been saying that for the past 5 years now. When LeBron gets ready to retire, and that's coming right around the corner, who the fuck else is going to fill the shoes of the superstar? There is nobody. So if that is the case, this is one of the most perfect times for them to pretty much take down sports in general, because like I said, there's no big superstar running sports right now, selling jerseys, selling tickets, putting asses in the seats. There's nobody. Literally nobody. There's nobody likable. There's nobody even likable. Think about that particular factor. There's nobody actually even likable enough to be a superstar to the public. Because LeBron is more hated than he is loved. And that's always because of the same argument and conversation of him trying to live up to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and never could. Just never could. We're talking about finals at the finals, playoffs at the playoffs, where he just lost. And you would think all those things would be rigged for him to actually win, but it was like, well, dude, no. No. And again, by design, that you're not going to pass Kobe Bryant's 81 points or how many rings he has, because you want to keep the legacy of Kobe Bryant. I can't say Ant-Man. I can't say Anthony Edwards, because there's not many people that recognize Ant-Man. Not too many people that recognize him for being a superstar. Because if that's the case, you can make the same argument. That's what I said. There's stars in the league, but there's no actual superstar. Like Anthony Edwards' jersey isn't selling off the racks to the point you want to buy his sneaker like the next Jordan. The way Allen Iverson, when he came into the league as the superstar face of the league. Again, like I said, there hasn't been superstars in the league in a long time. That's why everybody loved the Allen Iverson, Jason Kidd, Kobe Bryant era, Tracy McGrady, Steve Francis, all those guys that ended up being Carmelo. It's people that started being superstars off the court, right? Even early LeBron. Early LeBron was, like I said, a superstar, right? But then when everybody started to retire and leave, and now it's LeBron's turn, there's nobody left. There's literally nobody left that they could fill the shoes with. You could make the argument maybe Wemby, right? But is he an American superstar? At one point, it looked like they was trying to make Nikolai Jokic that. They tried to make Joker that. Joker don't even want to be bothered with press. he won't go home. he want to go home. You heard? I want to go home. He comes to play basketball. That's another thing too, right? The average star in the league just wants to show up, barely show out, get paid and go home. They don't necessarily care for, the competitiveness of the sport. That's what made a Kobe Bryant. That's what made a Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Those guys were just highly fucking competitive to where that aura burned off of the court. There hasn't been a guy like that in a long time. For the NBA, hell, for the NFL. Only big superstar you could think of is Messi. And he plays soccer. Okay? He plays soccer. One of the biggest, most paid professional athletes in history. Messi. Okay? That's about it. It's LeBron and Messi. What are you going to say? Patrick Mahomes behind that? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Like I said, likable people. All right, so let's just get into it. Got a video here that I did find to fill us in on things and just, take us down the pipeline of things.
On October 23rd, the basketball world woke up in disbelief as news broke that Chauncey Billups was allegedly entangled in a mafia-linked gambling scandal. When asked to react, Shaq said this:
I know everybody that's at play, and I don't like to sit up here and be hypocritical about certain things.
Now, that probably means one thing. He knew. And in this...
Of course he knew. We're talking about Shaquille O'Neal. We're talking about openly a Freemason Shaquille O'Neal. You see how he's rubbing his chin? Because wasn't it the Lakers that was named in the case, right? And we all know who's a part of that big three in the Lakers back in the day, right? I thought about something. Because it led me down a worm, and I'm going to get into it a little bit later. It led me down a wormhole of just thought. Just a string of consciousness, just thinking about how those superstars, like I said, it's by design. No different than WWE. Right? So I'm thinking about, Kobe was, set to expose Big Pharma and what they were doing with, drugging certain athletes and having them perform better or whatever, testing drugs on certain athletes and things like that to help them perform better. He was about to expose that. But what if Kobe also had stumbled upon the gambling thing? What if he also was, what if one thing was going to lead to another, is what I'm getting at. What if him exposing athletes being drugged would also expose possibly the other side of things, which is the gambling ring? What if him stumbling upon that somehow cracked open the door for them to look at, why are they trying to enhance stars? Why are they trying to enhance this player and that player so they perform better? Is someone trying to bet on them to win? What if one thing was actually going to lead to the other before they got rid of Kobe? Rest in peace. We all know the helicopter thing wasn't no accident. We all know that wasn't just no accident. Okay? So, it just makes you wonder. Crazy thing was, when I heard about this news, this is how much I've been removed from sports. I ain't know Chauncey Billups was the goddamn coach. I thought he was all the way retired. Like, I know there's some player coaches like Jason Kidd and whatnot, right? I had no idea who he was coaching. I had no idea Chauncey Billups stepped into the coaching thing. So even when I heard his name, it was like, okay, this looks a little weird. It looks very weird. The last time I checked, he's not coaching necessarily a big superstar team, is he? So I'm like, okay, well, how is he really making his money behind the scenes? How are a lot of people making their money behind the scenes in a league where the players get a lot of money? Yes, but the staffing and the coaching doesn't really. If anything, the only reason they are even coaches is because usually they had a big bag while they were playing. And they're, still passionate for the game and came back to do that coaching. When I thought about, like I said, Chauncey Billups, I'm like, he wasn't really a big superstar. He definitely was no Jason Kidd. He was good in his own right with the Detroit Pistons. He was good in his own right. He was a known point guard. I'll definitely say that. A known point guard, very good point guard. But like I said, wasn't no big star at any point in his career. To have that bag to sit on. So I'm like, okay, it makes sense that a Chauncey Billups would be named in this. But then that's when you start to think, well, if Chauncey Billups is a part of this, who else is?
Video. I'll show you new footage of NBA players begging Chauncey Billups not to leak their names. The shock heard around the league. The basketball world woke up to absolute chaos on October 23, 2025, a day that will forever be etched in NBA history as one of the darkest moments the league has ever witnessed. As fans across the nation prepared to celebrate the tip-off of the new season, federal authorities were orchestrating what can only be described as a seismic takedown that would send shockwaves reverberating through every corner of professional basketball and beyond. This wasn't just another story about athletes making poor decisions. This was something far more sinister.
So think about that too, right? They waited till opening week to do this. If you've been doing this investigation for about almost 5 years now or more, it sounds like, you just talking about a couple of people. This was definitely planned for y'all to just funk up opening week of sports in general. Not just NBA, but the opening week of sports in a sense. Because everybody is pretty much, the guys are pretty much inside. You see in the memes all the time of, you know what? I'm inside. Sports is back on. That type of thing. They waited to shake up the sports world in general with this one. Right at the top of the year.
Far more calculated and far more devastating than anyone could have possibly imagined. The headlines exploded across every sports network, every social media platform, and every news outlet in America. Portland Trail Blazers coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier had been arrested by the FBI. But this wasn't just a simple arrest. This was the culmination of a multi-year federal investigation that would expose an underground network so elaborate, so technologically sophisticated, and so deeply connected to organized crime that it would make Hollywood scripts seem tame by comparison.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any.
When FBI Director Kash Patel himself stepped up to the podium alongside multiple federal agencies, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York, the NYPD, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Waterfront Commission, everyone knew this was unprecedented. The presence of the FBI Director at a press conference is reserved for only the most significant cases, and as he began to speak, the full magnitude of what had been uncovered became terrifyingly clear. The investigation revealed not one, but two massive criminal operations that had been running parallel to each other, sometimes intersecting, sometimes operating independently, but always with the same goal: to defraud victims, manipulate outcomes, and rake in tens of millions of dollars through illegal means. The first operation, dubbed Operation Nothing But Bet, focused specifically on insider sports betting within the NBA, a scheme where players and coaches allegedly leaked confidential information about player availability, injuries, and game plans to betting rings, who would then place massive wagers on prop bets with guaranteed outcomes. The second operation, called Operation Royal Flush, was even more elaborate and chilling in its execution. This was a nationwide network of rigged poker games backed by four major mafia families: the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families, all working together in what prosecutors described as one of the most sophisticated gambling frauds ever uncovered in the United States.
The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra, to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
The numbers alone were staggering. Over 30 individuals arrested across 11 states. Charges ranging from wire fraud to money laundering, from extortion to armed robbery. And at the center of it all were names that every basketball fan knew. Names that had been synonymous with excellence, championship pedigree, and the kind of success that young players dreamed about achieving. Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot himself, a 5-time NBA All-Star, the 2004 NBA Finals MVP who had led the Detroit Pistons to a championship victory, a member of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, inducted just 1 year prior in 2024. And as of that fateful morning in October, the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, a position he had held with apparent respect and admiration since 2021. How could someone with such an illustrious career, someone who had achieved everything basketball had to offer, find themselves handcuffed and facing federal charges that could result in decades behind bars? Terry.
Because it goes back to what I just said. You named all of those accolades that did not equal up to a big fat superstar check. That's what it comes down to. So, of course, you take the coaching job. You took the coaching job to keep more income coming in. But when there isn't enough income coming in from you being a coach, you start seeing other routes of maybe getting that, those finances taken care of. And then, why would Chauncey Billups do this? But better question, why would they put all of these people on Front Street, but not necessarily the mobsters? Let's be honest. All of those, those mobsters that you supposedly arrested, in this ring, why is it we haven't seen any of them really? You haven't put them on Front Street the way you have Chauncey Billups has press in his face, or Terry Rozier. You don't have you don't have their faces out there in the news every single day. Why is that? Is it because you guys are doing a shakedown, and not really a shakedown of justice, but a shakedown of, okay, you guys haven't necessarily been paying your dues lately as far as the police go? Because we all know that's always a part of it too, right? The mobsters have always paid off the police so that they don't bother them. So now you get to a situation where maybe the mob hasn't necessarily been paying off their dues to be left alone in the first place, but this is more of a shakedown to say, hey, if you don't keep paying us, we can easily take down your entire operations. That's the easiest way to make someone come out when you want something from them, is just shake their pockets.
Rozier, at just 31 years old, was in the prime of his career. The Miami Heat guard was playing on a massive contract, $96.3 million over 4 years, and had established himself as a legitimate scoring threat in the league. He had everything to lose, and yet, according to federal prosecutors, he had allegedly thrown it all away for what amounted to pocket change compared to his annual salary. The allegations were specific and damning. Rozier had allegedly provided inside information about his own performance, specifically texting associates that he would exit games early with fake injuries so that bettors could cash in on under prop bets on his statistics. The most glaring example that would later go viral across social media was a March 23, 2023 game between the Charlotte Hornets and the New Orleans Pelicans. On that night, Rozier allegedly sent a text to his childhood friend De Niro Laster, telling him that he planned to leave the game early, citing a shoulder injury. True to his word, Rozier played just 9 minutes and 34 seconds before exiting the game. The betting syndicate, armed with this insider knowledge, placed over $200,000 in wagers on under-bets for Rozier's points, rebounds, and assists. When Rozier left the court, those bets hit, and the group collected massive payouts. According to court documents, the proceeds were later delivered to Rozier's own home, where the group counted out the cash. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn, and where the rumors and speculation that have been swirling across social media platforms need to be addressed head-on. In the days following the arrests, social media exploded exploded with claims about new footage showing NBA players supposedly begging Chauncey Billups not to leak their names in connection with the gambling scandal. These claims spread like wildfire, with fans sharing posts, creating memes, and speculating wildly about which players might be involved, which teams might be implicated, and whether the entire league was somehow compromised. Let's be absolutely clear about this. After exhaustive research across news sources, federal indictments, court filings, and social media platforms, there is no credible evidence whatsoever of any such footage existing. No video has been released. No audio recordings have been made public. No players have been shown begging anyone for anything. This appears to be a case of internet speculation run amok, fed by the shocking nature of the arrests and the natural human tendency to fill in gaps with dramatic narratives. What is real, however, and what has been documented in painstaking detail by federal investigators is far more disturbing than any sensationalized rumor could be. The investigation revealed that this wasn't just about a few bad actors making poor decisions. This was about a systematically organized criminal enterprise that had been operating for years, recruiting influential figures from the NBA to serve as what prosecutors called face cards, celebrities whose names and reputations would lure wealthy victims into high-stakes poker games that were rigged from the very beginning.
And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
According to the indictments unsealed on October 23rd, the poker scheme alone defrauded victims of at least $715 million, but the true figure is likely much higher as investigations continue and more victims come forward. One individual alone reportedly lost $1.8 million in these rigged games. These weren't backroom card games in smoky basements. These were high-stakes operations taking place in some of the most exclusive locations across America: the Hamptons in New York, luxury suites in Las Vegas, upscale venues in Miami, and penthouses in Manhattan. The victims believed they were sitting down at legitimate poker tables with NBA legends and current players. They thought they were participating in competitive games where skill and luck would determine the winners.
With NBA legends, right? We're going to get into one NBA legend in particular that had a gambling problem.
What they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly have known, was that every single person at the table except them was in on the scam. The dealer was part of it. The other players were part of it. Even the so-called face cards, the famous athletes whose presence gave the games an air of legitimacy, were allegedly part of the conspiracy. Billups, according to federal prosecutors, participated in at least one game in 2019 that defrauded victims out of $50,000, with the proceeds split among the cheaters, dealers, and organizers. But his alleged role went beyond just showing up to lend credibility. Court documents suggest that he may have also been involved in the NBA betting scheme as co-conspirator 8, described as an Oregon resident, a former player who played from 1997 to 2014, and a coach since 2021. All of these details match Billups perfectly. If these allegations are true, he may have tipped off bettors that the Trailblazers would rest star players before a crucial game against the Chicago Bulls on March 24, 2023, resulting in a 28-point blowout loss and successful bets for the syndicate. Following the money and the mob. When federal prosecutors began peeling back the layers of this criminal enterprise, what they discovered was a sophisticated operation that had been years in the making, a carefully constructed network that combined cutting-edge technology, old-school organized crime enforcement tactics, and the glittering allure of celebrity to create what can only be described as the perfect storm of fraud. The poker scheme, which prosecutors say began operating as early as 2019, required an intricate web of participants, each playing a specific role in ensuring that wealthy victims, whom the syndicate referred to as fish, would be systematically stripped of their money without ever realizing they were swimming in a tank full of sharks. These weren't street-level hustlers running three-card Monte on a corner. These were organized criminals with access to technology that most people didn't even know existed, backed by some of the most powerful and feared crime families in American history.
The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra.
The involvement of 4 different La Cosa Nostra families working together, Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese, is extraordinarily rare and speaks to the massive profits at stake. Traditionally, these families operate in their own territories with their own rackets, occasionally coming into conflict over turf or business disputes. For all 4 to collaborate on a single operation suggests that the money flowing through these poker games was substantial enough that it made sense to pool resources, share technology, and split the proceeds rather than risk internal warfare.
Now, if that's the case, right, Because if we're talking about, like, they had like X-ray tables and whatnot with this shit, with the poker games. We're talking about the glasses that they had, right, to see certain shit. If you talking about this type of technology for, say, the poker games, what's to stop it from? Remember the whole theory about magnets in the rim? Everybody said that there were magnets in the rim ever since Jordan was playing. Like, yo, how is he making every shot like that? And they literally made a scientific. They had a whole video on how literally there is very possible to put magnets inside of the rim so that the ball goes in at a certain point. I remember, I think it was a movie too that had that shit, to where like it was something that was triggered around the shot clock that would trigger the magnets every time the person went for the shot, and it was just going in. Right? Little shit like that you start to think of. Or I forgot, it was something with the football. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something with the actual football that would help either the players get sacked. No, it was something where the interceptions would happen easier. Or certain catches like Randy Moss would make would happen easier. I forgot what it was with the football, but it was certain players that wore gloves specifically also. To where, like I said, the ball was just easy for them to catch because they had the magnets in their gloves. Just little things like that. Those theories start to come back into mind when you start to think about the technology that goes in to creating something in someone else's favor for the sake of the bet win. And then when you think about technology in general, who's to say that, or say not say that Prize Picks, DraftKings, Fanatics, all these other places, hell, you can even say Kalashi. Well, no, I'm not going to say Kalashi because Kalashi's a little different. It's more independent. But like all the big wig betting, sports betting chains and applications, you have to put that in consideration now and say, well, are those particular applications possibly in on it too? If that is the case, because those places stand to make even more money if you think about it.
Federal authorities revealed that at least 13 defendants in the poker case have direct ties to these organized crime families, including capos, captains, and soldiers made members of the mafia who have taken blood oaths of loyalty. These weren't associates or hangers-on. These were actual members of La Cosa Nostra, the Italian-American mafia, directly involved in running rigged poker games and using NBA players and coaches as bait. The role that Chauncey Billups allegedly played as a face card was absolutely critical to the operation's success. Think about it from the perspective of a wealthy businessman, a tech entrepreneur, or a hedge fund manager who has money to burn and loves the idea of sitting across a poker table from an NBA Hall of Famer. When you get an invitation to a private, high-stakes game where Chauncey Billups will be playing, your guard naturally comes down. You think to yourself, this must be legitimate. Why would a Hall of Fame coach risk his reputation on some shady operation? That's exactly what the organizers were counting on. Billups wasn't the only NBA figure allegedly recruited for this purpose. Damon DJ Jones, a former NBA player and assistant coach who had stints with teams including the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Miami Heat, was also arrested and charged in both the poker scheme and the sports betting case. Jones allegedly served as a bridge between the two operations, using his connections in the league to gather inside information about player injuries and game plans, while also showing up to poker games to lend credibility. The sophistication of the cheating. Technology cannot be overstated. Let's break down exactly how this worked, because it's genuinely mind-blowing. Federal agents seized custom-modified shuffling machines, specifically Deckmate 2 units that had been purchased off the shelf and then taken to tech specialists who installed hidden cameras and wireless transmitters inside them. When cards were shuffled and dealt, these modified machines would read the order of the entire deck using RFID chips or barcode scanning technology. This information would be transmitted in real time to someone sitting off-site, sometimes in a different room, sometimes in a different building entirely, who could see exactly which cards each each player at the table had been dealt. This person, often referred to as the quarterback of the operation, would then communicate this information back to conspirators at the table using encrypted cell phones, earpieces, or coded signals. But the technology went even further. X-ray tables were installed in some locations, allowing conspirators wearing special glasses or using hidden cameras to literally see through the cards lying face down on the table. Imagine being a victim in this game, holding what you think is a winning hand, completely unaware that everyone else at the table can see your cards as clearly as if they were face up. Marked decks were used in conjunction with special contact lenses that made invisible markings visible to the wearers. Poker chip trays were fitted with hidden cameras that would capture images of cards as they were dealt or discarded. Every angle was covered. Every possible edge was exploited. There was virtually no scenario in which a fish could win. And
This sounds like something out of Casino. You remember the movie Casino, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci? And Robert De Niro was literally watching the guy and how it was going. Like, he had like a keen sense of how the cheating was even going, from the knocker underneath the guy's leg that was signaling to the guy that was across from him that was looking at the other guy's hand. He watched that whole thing, remember? Just little things like that. We've come a long way from that. New Eyes, what's going on? Lulu, what's going on? How y'all doing this evening? Hope y'all doing okay. Hope life is okay. But yes, just reminds me of things like that, you know, on how much goes into actual, you know, getting the cheating off in general. But supposedly they made this a little bit too obvious. Even with all the technology and the things that they had going into this, they still made it too obvious to certain people. I'll say it like that. We're going to play a video here with the pro players that was actually, you know, at these tables and saying, yo, something else is up with this. Something else is up with this.
by some miracle they did start to get lucky, the game would simply be stopped, or the victim would be encouraged to play one more hand until the conspirators could recoup their temporary losses. And what happened when victims couldn't pay their debts? This is where the mafia connection became particularly dark and dangerous. The organized crime families didn't just provide backing and legitimacy to the operation, they also provided enforcement. When someone owed money and couldn't pay, they were subjected to the kind of pressure tactics that the mafia has perfected over decades: threats, intimidation, violence, and in at least one case documented in the indictments, armed robbery. Federal prosecutors revealed that one victim who refused to pay was tracked down, and conspirators used threats of violence to collect the debt. In another instance, someone was robbed at gunpoint specifically to obtain a rigged shuffling machine that the conspirators needed back to avoid it being discovered and potentially examined by authorities. This wasn't white-collar crime where everyone shakes hands and moves on. This was organized crime in its rawest form, where debts were enforced through fear and violence. Now, let's turn our attention to the sports betting side of the operation, because this is where the implications for the NBA become even more troubling. The betting scheme, which federal prosecutors say operated from December 2022 through March 2024, involved the manipulation of at least 7 NBA games through the use of insider information about player availability, injuries, and game strategies that hadn't yet been made public. The business model was actually quite simple, even if the execution was elaborate. Find someone with inside access to NBA teams, a player, a coach, a trainer, someone in the organization who knows what's really happening before the public does, and convince them to share that information with bettors who can then place massive wagers with guaranteed outcomes. Terry Rozier's alleged involvement provides the clearest example of how this worked. On March 23, 2023, while he was still playing for the Charlotte Hornets, Rozier allegedly sent a text message to his childhood friend Deniro Laster, informing him that he planned to leave the game early, citing a shoulder injury. This wasn't a legitimate injury that Rozier had sustained during the game. According to prosecutors, this was a pre-planned exit designed specifically to enable betting manipulation. Armed with this insider knowledge, Laster and others in the betting syndicate placed over $200,000 in wagers on under-prop bets for Rozier's statistics, betting that he would score fewer than a certain number of points, grab fewer than a certain number of rebounds, record fewer than a certain number of assists. When Rozier left the game after just 9 minutes and 34 seconds of playing time, having scored only a handful of points, all of those under bets hit, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit for the conspirators. The video footage of Rozier's exit from that game has now gone viral on social media, with millions of views as people analyze his body language, the timing of his departure, and whether there were any visible signs signs that he was faking an injury. Sports commentators and fans have pored over every second of footage, looking for clues, trying to determine whether Rozier appeared genuinely hurt or whether his exit was as scripted as prosecutors allege. What makes this particularly damning is that the NBA had actually investigated Rozier for this exact incident back in 2023, after sportsbooks like DraftKings flagged unusual betting patterns around his performance. At the time, the league concluded that they didn't have enough evidence to take action against Rozier, and he was effectively cleared. However, federal investigators with access to subpoena power, wiretaps, text messages, and financial records were able to build a much more comprehensive case than the NBA could with its internal investigation. But Rozier's alleged scheme...
Now, here's the thing, right? Even though the NBA supposedly did an internal investigation, you have to think about this, right? Why is it someone that is arrested right now in police custody still able to keep their $1 million salary? Say it again. Why is it someone that is obviously, in trouble with the law? We're not talking about like a John Morant situation, right? Because remember, John Morant was about to lose everything over just being silly in the car, right? Not arrested really for anything, but just being stupid and silly in the car with his friends on live. Almost lost everything. Terry Rozier is actually, in a federal indictment for gambling and is able to keep his entire NBA salary still? Huh? And then why was that made public news too? Reason why is because the NBA wanted to say, just like the rest of sports said, hey, we know what y'all doing. We're trying to protect y'all with what y'all doing. But y'all also being stupid about what y'all doing. So we're going to pretend we're still cooperating with the police. But so you don't say anything else about anybody else that might be involved. You can keep your money. It's not going anywhere. That would have been the biggest way to get Terry Rozier to start spilling the beans, right? Him being broke, in fear of losing his NBA career and all that shit. That would have been the biggest way to make him spin the beans. No, Adam Silver said, no, you keep you keep your money. Don't worry about your NBA career. It'll be here when you get back. Your job, your salary, all that be here still. The point everybody was saying, what? He's keeping his salary. Huh?
Wasn't an isolated incident. The indictments detail multiple games where insider information was allegedly used to manipulate betting outcomes. Damon Jones, the former player and assistant coach, allegedly sold information about LeBron James's unreported foot injury before a Lakers-Bucks game on February 9th, 2023. He allegedly leaked information about Lakers player availability before a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder on January 15th, 2024. An unnamed Orlando Magic player allegedly leaked information about the Cleveland Cavaliers before a game in April 2023, allowing bettors to successfully wager on the spread after both teams rested their starters. And then there's the allegation against co-conspirator 8, who many believe to be Chauncey Billups, based on the detailed description in the indictment. This individual allegedly tipped off bettors that the Portland Trail Blazers planned to rest their star players, Damian Lillard, Jusuf Nurkic, Jerami Grant, and Anthony Simons, before their game against the Chicago Bulls on March 24th, 2023. The Trail Blazers were blown out by 28 points in that game, and bettors who had been given advance notice were able to cash in on spread bets and under totals, knowing that Portland's best players would be sitting on the bench. The fallout and the future. The immediate aftermath of the October 23rd arrests sent the NBA into crisis mode. Within hours, the league issued a statement emphasizing that they take these allegations with the utmost seriousness and that the integrity of the game remains their top priority. But behind those carefully crafted public relations statements, there was genuine panic rippling through league offices, team front offices, and player associations. Both Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier were immediately placed on indefinite leave from their respective teams. The Portland Trail Blazers Trailblazers named assistant coach Tiago Splitter as interim head coach, and the Miami Heat announced that Rozier would not play while the legal proceedings unfolded. These weren't just temporary suspensions pending investigation. These were the beginning of what could be permanent separations from the league, depending on how the criminal cases proceed and what evidence ultimately comes to light. The NBA has specific rules that govern player and personnel conduct when it comes to gambling, and they're extraordinarily strict for good reason. Article 35 of the league's constitution gives the commissioner the power to impose discipline for gambling-related offenses, including lifetime bans in severe cases. The precedent here is clear. John Tay Porter, a two-way player for the Toronto Raptors, was banned for life from the NBA in April 2024 after he pleaded guilty to charges related to a similar prop betting scheme where he deliberately underperformed and left games early so that bettors could cash in on under wagers. If Rozier is convicted on the federal charges he faces, wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy, he could receive a lifetime ban from the NBA, which would void his contract and save the Miami Heat approximately $26.6 million in future salary obligations. For a player in the prime of his career, this would represent a catastrophic fall from grace, transforming him from a well-compensated professional athlete to a convicted felon banned from ever playing in the league again. Billups' situation is slightly different because he's a coach rather than a player, but the potential consequences are no less severe. While
I'm muted. Okay, so with that being said, wanted to hear real quick from somebody that was close to those same pro players. Remember, this is ex-NBA ref here, Tim Donaghy. He'd actually warned people of the gambling that was going on prior to.
Imagine you're making $26.6 million and you're more excited about a $200,000 payout and your name is Terry Rozier. Imagine you're Chauncey Billups, a finals MVP, a head coach, and you're working with the Italian mafia on poker games, helping them over the years win $7 million. Think about that. Imagine you're Terry Rozier, you decide to step out of the game 9 minutes into it, and then that's one of the ways, I just don't feel like playing. He just steps out and goes out and, is stepping out of the game to help a friend win the game. Rob, do you have the clip of Kash Patel announcing this?
Yes.
So here's how it started, the bombshell, and then we're going to go to Tim Donaghy here in a minute. Go ahead, Rob. Play this clip with Kash Patel.
Such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
Okay, so by the way, it's not every day the FBI director, Kash Patel, comes out and explains what's going on with the NBA. This is right after the NBA had a good opening day, and the timing of it is kind of interesting. You have an opening day when, what's his name? Wemby has an incredible opening day, 40 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks. Good things are going on, and then next thing you know, boom, this is the news. Tim, great to have you on the podcast. Tim, can you hear us? I can't hear. I think you may be muted. There you go. Can you hear us?
We can hear him over there.
You're still.
No, I heard him over there.
No, that's Jake speaking.
Oh.
Tim, you may be still muted. Let's see. Because that phone has got to, the red's got to remove from it.
How about now?
We hear you now. There we go.
Is.
So, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing terrific. Good morning, guys.
Fantastic.
Morning.
Fantastic. Appreciate you for making the time. So what do you think about what's going on here?
I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg. I think when you talk about arrests being made by the FBI, I think the guys that are arrested are going to sit down and, be scared to death with what they're facing, and they're going to start to cooperate, and they're going to tell the FBI everything they know, and this thing is going to spread like wildfire, and you're going to find out that this is a lot bigger than it is right now, and it's pretty big.
Tim, why do you think this is why 2 days before this announcement is made, or even 1 day before this announcement is made, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, was on Pat McAfee? You think that was intentional?
Absolutely. I think he was trying to, get ahead of the fire a little bit and talk about that they need to get gambling under control. And I think that he's going to continue to try to figure out a way to put a lid on this. But it's going to be very difficult for him because I think this is widespread. I think it's going to be very damaging to the league. And, I just received a text message from one of the FBI agents that worked my case. And he basically said that they're not going to be able to cover this up like they covered up my case.
What do you mean by that? So what's the difference between this case and your case?
I think the David Stern was able to basically put a lid on it and paint me as one bad apple, the only guy involved, and nobody else did anything but me. And, we're going to move on from it. The FBI said that there was 6 or 7 other people that they wanted to indict, and this guy.
Now think about that, right? Think about who he just said, David Stern. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. David Stern was a part of whose era? Jordan and Kobe. So of course he's going to put it on someone that's not as a face of the league. Well, it's just not even the face of the league. He's not going to put it on one of his NBA players. You know what I mean? He's not going to put it on one of the NBA players. Instead, we're going to put it on somebody that, we know has a life outside of basketball. Put it like that. Going to put it on someone that's a little bit less. Less would make it so they don't look down the pipeline of who else might be doing things inside of our organization or league. You know what I mean? Most people look at a referee as someone that, just takes the job of officiating. But there are certain referees that by name and know by face and things like that are dedicated to that particular sport. But for the most part, the average fan doesn't necessarily care for the referees. If anything, they're more against the referees. They're saying the ref's cheating, this, that, and the third, right? So, of course, you put it on the easiest scapegoat that's possible, which would be the referee. It's getting a lot of attention, but the Gilbert situation includes... What is that? Something in a dead escort swept under the rug. What is that symbol? Hold on, what's that symbol? I have no idea what that symbol is. Let me look at my phone. I have no idea what that symbol is. What's that symbol you put there, Lulu? I have no idea what that is. What is this? Juices? Is that juices? Juices in a dead escort? I'm not sure. I did hear what you're talking about, though. I did hear wind of that. Let me see something here. Do. Oh, I don't know what. Okay, well, they don't have anything in regards to the escort. I'm just looking it up now. They don't necessarily have anything in regards to the escort. If anything, they just putting it on the poker thing because he was indicted in July about that as well. Oh, Jews in the okay. Oh, Jews in the dead escort. You know we don't hide nothing over here. You don't hide like that over here. Okay, so the Jews and the dead escort. I have to look more into that. Like I said, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about. But if anything, they didn't necessarily sweep it under the rug, unless they were sweeping under the rug for the Jews. But if anything, they're just trying to they will get him for something else. We're getting to Gilbert Arenas in just a second too, because he did some real funny shit last week.
Shut down from the highest level, and then I find out, after I go to jail that, a guy by the name of Greg Andres, who was the head of the Eastern District of New York, took a job at a law firm and all of a sudden got all the outside legal counsel work for the NBA. So, it was a situation where David Stern really ran that whole investigation, and it got shut down by the, highest level people in regard to other people being involved.
Tim, so this is a bigger question for me. One of the stories was where is it Damon Jones, I think, was that gave and maybe I'm saying this incorrectly, but one of the players that was a teammate of LeBron gave word that he may not be playing the game to a guy on the outside. Do you think this is going to be tied to some NBA superstars as well? And Chauncey is a superstar. He's an NBA champion, finals MVP. He's absolutely a superstar, a head coach. But do you think some major superstar names could be tied or linked to this case here?
Absolutely. I mean, when you talk about wire fraud, that's a law that is can be applied to many different things. And if you're just calling your buddy and telling them that somebody's not playing, even if it's a nonchalant comment, you're transferring that over state lines, that's wire fraud. And that's what I was charged with. So, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind some of these star players might have been, saying something to their buddies back home that they weren't playing, or one of the other guys weren't playing, or they weren't 100%. And bets were placed and money was made. I think that, sometimes people with power and money feel like the rules don't apply to them, and they're not going to get caught. And you get a little bit cocky like I did and think that you're going to get away with something like this. And you just don't. You eventually always get caught.
What is the approach that the mob takes? A lot of times I've had a lot of the folks in the mob, on, and I've talked.
You heard what he said, right? So he knows that there are people involved. Tim's just not saying everybody that's involved right now, but he got caught. So he knows that this shit is bigger than what it is. Like he said, David Stern made him the scapegoat. So he knows for sure that there are other people involved in it and have been for quite some time.
To Michael Francis on how closely they work with the NBA and college. And remember back in the days with, UNLV, and you would hear stories about some of the guys in Vegas that would go to UNLV, and LJ and Stacey Ogman and Jerry Tarkanian. Of course, a lot of these were allegations. But what is the mob's approach when it comes down to NBA players? Why is it that a lot of the mob is tied and they target NBA? And by the way, this may open up to the NFL. Stephen A. Smith said that, they may be coming after the NFL. They may be coming after WNBA. What is the mob's approach when it comes down to working with the NBA?
Yeah, it's not just the NBA that it is. This is going to be widespread into other, professional sporting teams also. And, it's just a situation where, you're hanging out with the wrong people different times, and people are connected to the mob, and you get comfortable with somebody, you think they're your friend, and the next thing you know, they have something on you, or you're in an enormous amount of debt to them for some reason, and they have their claws into you, and they're going to put pressure on you to do things for them in regard to, information, so that they can continue to make, millions and millions of dollars. So, in my situation, I remember I thought I was just going to give the guy the picks for 3 months and be done with it. And the FBI agent said they would have never, released you. You were their golden goose. And if you would have stopped giving them the picks that they wanted, they would end up killing you. So, the mob is the mob, and it's still prevalent in the United States of America. I know people think that it's not, but, it's still, working very, very hard.
Adam.
Tim, how big is the Vegas effect here? Because if you scroll back X amount of years ago, there were no professional teams in Vegas. But the NBA Summer League is based in Vegas. We know that they have the Raiders now. I believe they have a WNBA team. I think LeBron is trying to bring an actual NBA team to Vegas. We know that the Mafia was located in Vegas. People think that the Mafia went away and they're just podcasters now. They're clearly out there. How big is the Vegas effect here, in your opinion?
I think that, you used to always be told you couldn't go to Vegas, stay away from Vegas. It was nothing but trouble. I think it's just a matter of, there's a market out there, and they want to improve the bottom line. So, they move into Vegas. You mentioned the Summer League for the NBA out in Vegas. They put it out in Vegas because they wanted the attraction for, some of the bigger players to go out there and watch. And, it exploded out there because, people went to see it and they loved it and they loved going to Vegas. So it's all about the bottom dollar when it comes to, moving out to Vegas and expanding to different areas.
And you were found, I don't know exactly, I remember it was 2007, I believe, that you were alleged.
Yes,
convicted.
2007, I was found guilty of gambling and wire fraud for passing inside information over state lines.
Okay, bingo, the inside information here. So whether it's in the stock market, whether it's in sports gambling, explain the difference maybe between what you were accused of or guilty of versus what actual player, you were a referee. These are players, coaches. Explain the difference in your opinion.
I think the difference between me and, say, Rozier is the fact that he went out onto the floor, basically pulled himself off the floor because he didn't want to go over a certain amount of points, knowing that there was bets that were going to hit in regard to the amount of points that he was supposed to score. My situation was I didn't go out and actually fix games like that. That's fixing of a game, which is a much higher penalty than just passing along information about injuries and different things that, you learned about the game that I was going to officiate that night. So I think he actually went out and fixed the outcome of a bet. So, I think he's probably in the most trouble of the three.
And for the record, how much do NBA referees make a year?
They do very well. A referee that goes all the way up to the NBA Finals is going to probably make a little bit over $500,000 a year. A lower level guy is going to make somewhere around 200, 225 a year.
Okay, but this is good money. But this isn't NBA, max salary, even minimum vet money. That's 5, 10, 20, 50 million. Terry Rozier, I think he's made over $100 million in his career. He plays for my Miami Heat right now. Why in the hell would someone who's made over $100 million waste their time and their reputation on a $100,000 bet? Explain to me the mind of a player. That's why I think there's something weird going on here.
Not necessarily, like it was explained earlier, you could owe that money as well.
$160 million.
Great question. Great question. But what you have to realize is that, gambling addiction is just like drugs and alcohol. Damn. And, you get a high from that. I got a high from it. I enjoy doing it every single day of my life. So there's a possibility that he may be addicted to gambling, and he just liked the high of doing that. So, people don't realize it, but gambling is just as powerful of an addiction as drugs and alcohol.
Have guys reached out to you with any news of any other names that are being targeted, or you haven't heard anything else?
I have not heard anything else, but like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. When you talk about an investigation of this level, the FBI being involved, Billups is going to sit down with them. Rozier is going to sit down. Jones is going to sit down. They're going to be facing, 10, 15, 20 years in jail. They're going to literally scare the shit out of them, and they're going to cooperate because, the last thing you want to do is sit in a jail cell for the next 20 years of your life when you have a family at home. And it's going to be widespread. There are going to be a lot of other big names involved in this. I don't believe that the NBA is going to be able to cover something like this up.
Oh, no. By the way, go ahead, Benny.
I was just going to say, Tim, when it comes to, I just thought about it. Even college games. I showed Pat a clip.
NIL,
Everybody. And I just made a prediction to do, I want to say a week ago. Yo, what's it to stop it from them going at the NFL and this shit just spreading all over the place because of the mafia, right? We know that they're not just betting on fucking NBA games. Like, common sense would tell everybody they're not just betting on NBA games, but more so, I want to say it's going to spread. Now, I want to get down to a certain person I think is going to fall from this. I'm going to share that in just a second. Why is my thing tangled up here? Oh, my goodness. Okay. I think this is going to lead down to the Super Bowl. I have a feeling that through this avenue, because remember, Trump expressed his, very big dislike. We didn't know he's racist, right? Prejudice and shit. we all know he expressed his big dislike in Bad Bunny performing. Like, openly. We've never heard a president ever do some shit like that where he's just openly mad about who's performing in the Super Bowl ahead of time. That's never happened before. It's clearly racist, clearly offensive, clearly disrespectful, but also from a president who doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't give a fuck whatsoever about what anybody else thinks. He only knows what he thinks. So with that happening, I'm saying to myself, well, if that's the case, what's them to stop from potentially, shutting down the leagues as they do these investigations? What's to stop Trump from saying, you know what, shut everybody down? Fully turn them upside down and shake their pockets type shit. Nothing. Absolutely nothing stopping him.
This week about a team that could have just kneeled the ball and won. He ran all the way back into his own end zone for a safety, and it messed up. The spread. So this is, like you said, this is who knows how far this is going to go. But at the end of the day, Tim, when it comes to this type of gambling, you can never be 100% because some people won't be that careless when it comes to the wire fraud. It can be a cash thing. You can't stop cheating in sports. Period. You can't.
Right, and I think the next big scandal from here is going to be at the college level. When you talk about a lot of these young kids who aren't going to make it to that next level and make millions and millions of dollars, you're going to have some of these mob guys go up to them and say, hey, listen, the spread's 15. Just win by 11, 12, or 13. Here's 50 grand. Let's do that 3 or 4 times this year before you graduate so you don't leave here penniless. You have money for your family. So I think that you're going to find, in the near future, something.
The other avenue, what's going on, Manjaro? What's going on? And see, the other avenue to that is, not to get too far off subject, but these same mobsters easily would go up to these kids, these same young talents, and say, hey, we can do this, that, and the third for you if you, win some more games for us. We can get you into the NBA. We can get you a scholarship for this, that, and the third. We saw that in Above the Rim. We saw that in the movie Above the Rim where Tupac was literally helping Kyle get into Connecticut by having a recruiter with him. Little shit like that.
Something like that happening at the college level.
Tim, back to NBA. I want to understand the concept of tanking, whether it's in one game or in a season, because if this thing goes back to where I think it's going, and I'm going down like Vinny goes down the Epstein rabbit hole, I'm going down the hey, how you doing, whoever's in the back over there?
That's
Mark Lamont was just talking about that with the Detroit Pistons. That's the crazy part.
my girlfriend Laura.
How
Sorry.
you doing? No worries. It's all good. So this thing, if you go back to 2023, Chauncey Billups, I believe he's not even the coach of.
Not Detroit. Well, it might have been Detroit. It was one of the teams. I think it was the Spurs actually that they had to lose a certain amount of games so that they got the actual draft pick for Wembanyama.
Portland yet. But everybody's in the tanking Olympics for the greatest potential player that we've seen since LeBron, and this guy is Victor Wembanyama. We all know who this is. This guy just came out of the first game of the season, 7'4", put up 40 points, ridiculous player. How much of the tanking they were trying to get rid of Damian Lillard? He was going to go to Milwaukee. Giannis. How much of this has to do with tanking, trying to get the greatest player of this generation, Wembanyama, losing games?
So the question is, how much of this is tanking, Tim?
Yep.
You know, a lot of it's tanking. I mean, if you look at it over the years, the NBA hasn't been able to get rid of tanking. So it's something that they have to figure out. They have a lot of issues at hand between gambling and tanking and these players sitting out during, the end of the year. So I think the NBA is really in a lot of trouble with a lot of different things, and they need to work some things out or this league's going to fall apart. It'd be like the 70s again before Bird and Magic and Jordan became a part of the league.
It's funny because if you notice when they brought Michael back to do the show that he's doing, is that a part of, hey, we kind of need the attention back? We need somebody to excite the generation? Who knows? But, Tim, appreciate you for taking the time. I know probably everybody's reaching out to ask you. I saw you on News Nation as well.
Speak of the devil. Them bringing back Michael Jordan. Speak of the devil. Remember before I went down the pipeline of what if? Just what if this whole gambling thing goes a little bit farther back than we actually, want to think about. What if this goes way beyond the Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier? What if this goes back to, like I said, I genuinely was thinking like, I wonder if a lot of Jordan's games were rigged ahead of time. Now, that doesn't take away from his talent and his ability to literally fly and have the hang time, be able to hit certain shots and whatnot. But what if there were certain factors for certain games, right? What if? Just what if?
Well, I interviewed, the interview's actually running right now with James Slim Bowler. He was Michael Jordan's golf betting partner.
Oh.
You know about this story?
No.
Okay, so this guy was basically a golf hustler in North Carolina, in Charlotte. And he would basically make his money betting dudes on the golf course. And, with that, he had his own shop and everything else like that.
So Mike had to pay him like $50,000?
Well, okay, I'll get to the story. So at one point, Mike was in the area, basically betting on golf games. So he went out there and started betting with Mike and started winning. So Mike started to like him. And he was basically part of this group of guys. They would get together. Mike had like an island, this little like weekend island spot that he would go and they would all gamble and they would have private chefs and everything else like that. And, these days not going to the White House, as an athlete is not that uncommon. But back then, after he won the NBA championship, he said he couldn't go to the White House because he had family obligations and everything else like that. Well, in fact, he went gambling with this group of guys that week.
Once Michael did not go to the White House, and Jesse Helms was in the Senate, was a senator at that particular time from Monroe. And
imagine that. Your gambling addiction is that bad that you refused to go to the White House after you won the championship. Everybody else is chilling with the president. No, you want to gamble.
That is a political slap in the face. If you look at the simple things, when you look at the Last Dance in the movie, episode 6, where they portray me and Jesse Helms. Jesse Helms said, quote, that when he beat Harvey Gantt for the election for the Senate, they won't have no party in the hood tonight.
He didn't lie. That's his extended family.
Right. So Michael Jordan ended up losing a bunch of money that weekend to Slim, and he wrote him a $57,000 check for his losses. Unbeknownst to Michael, Slim was being investigated for drug dealing and all this other type of stuff. So his phones were tapped and everything else like that. So, and I guess he tried to cash the check without paying taxes on it while his phones were tapped. So before he got a chance to cash the check, the Fed swooped in, arrested him, seized the check, and then now he has to go to court, and Michael Jordan now has to take the stand and now has to admit that he was gambling and what the check was for. And now the NBA is starting to investigate him. And, one of the guys in the group ends up dead with a $100,000 check from Michael, in his bag. And it's just basically Michael Jordan said this was the worst decision of his life.
Yeah.
And this was before you joined the Bulls. This was
before.
This was 91. I think.
This is when, it was, remember after 93, he took time off.
Exactly. It was right around that time when there was a whole investigation. He basically was like, okay, I'm just going to leave
I'm
the
going
NBA.
to stop.
And then they dropped the investigation. Right.
All of a sudden. Now, if you remember 93, because the crazy thing is, right, only reason I remember that whole thing with 93 is because that's when Space Jam came out. Not 93, but after he retired and was supposedly coming back to the NBA, think it was like 96, 97, something like that when Space Jam came out, 96, 97 or whatever. But I remember specifically, I was like, yo, that's not really heard of. Where an athlete, a superstar in the NBA at that, like Michael Jordan, just suddenly retires. Right? Jordan came in the league, what, like 84 or something like that? 84, 85? He only been there for 10 years. You retiring? What? What? Oh, I want to go play other sports. Nigga, huh? Remember, everybody was like, you want to play baseball? You want to go baseball? And golf? Huh? We're going to get into that too in a second, Lulu. We're gonna get into that in a second. No, but this is when he left and played baseball. I forgot what team he played for. What team did Jordan played for when he left he went to the MLB. What team did Michael Jordan play in baseball? Yeah. What team did he play for in baseball? Birmingham Barons, Double-A affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. He played professional baseball for the Birmingham Barons. You remember when he went to play baseball? There's a picture of him right here. Mafia Princess, what's going on? No, not when he came back on the Wizards, when he left and played baseball. Y'all remember when he left and played baseball for like a year or so? Hold on, I got you. This is him in the jersey right here. Like, he left and went and played actual baseball. that was actually, if you remember the beginning of Space Jam, right? In the beginning of the Space Jam movie, they had him playing baseball. They had him on the golf course when Bugs Bunny came and got him on the golf course. But what was he playing? He literally did a not a mock press conference, but they showed the footage of him retiring, saying, "Yo, I want to go play professional baseball." For August 1994, Birmingham was the biggest team in baseball. While Jordan drew national attention all season long, the attention reached another level. Now, it wasn't in Major League Baseball, it was minor league baseball. So maybe that's probably why you didn't know. He wasn't, like I said, on the actual bigger team, the Chicago White Sox. He was on the division of the Chicago White Sox, the Birmingham Barons. Oh, they even got some little footage of him here.
He's handled a couple of chances well. He made an there on a ground ball. Got a base hit that drove in a run. There's another hit. A drive down the third baseline. The tying run may score. He's around third. Racing for the plate. The throw. He hasn't touched the plate yet, and he does. Michael Jordan has tied up the ball game with a ground double to left. And this crowd has seen what it came here for. And everybody's on their feet yelling.
Yep, Michael Jordan's little time playing minor league baseball. No. When he came back from baseball, he went back to the Bulls. That was remember the famous line, "When I come back like Jordan wearing the 4-5, it ain't to play games with you." He came back wearing the number 45. He came back to the basketball because that's when he won the other 3 rings. He left for a minute after he won some rings, and then he came back and won, I think, like 2 or 3 more. Yeah, that's what it was. He had a 3-peat, then he came back and won 3 again.
And then his dad got killed, and it was all around that same time.
It's a trip, man. I told somebody, I like having small victories, because every time I've had some top of the level, the next day or something that would just bring you down to the ground. It would just flatten you. And I tell you, MJ was going through so much then. Right after that, Space Jam came out. He had 6 different commercials on television, 4 different companies. He was the face of the NBA, 3-time three-peat champion. When did he get divorced? He was going through it. Life. I'm telling you, man, it's you try to live life and have your career at the same time. It's amazing on how things seem like they don't miss. They don't miss you when you're on top of everything. I don't know anybody that has been at the top that haven't had some crazy life situations follow. It's like the same thing, the good and the bad.
Actually, before I play that one, get more detail on things.
When it comes to conspiracy theories, many of them are out there, but when it comes to Michael Jordan and his gambling, well, let's just say that this conspiracy theory has a lot of potential proof behind it. And the reason that this video is being made is because of a new story revealed by Antoine Walker on the All Things Covered podcast. A shout out to them, go check them out. Here is the clip of Antoine talking.
Tell us a bit about that Boo Ray battle. We probably gamble 3 days out the week. When Mike calls, the buy-in goes up a little higher. I say probably 20,000. And then Mike is competitive, man. I remember one time we played spades for 36 hours.
What? Damn.
Guys, me and Michael were partners, and we were playing against 2 other guys. And they had us stuck B-Mac 900,000. What? So we were playing the first hand bid itself. We was betting 50,000 on that. Betting 50 on who gets 7, and then 50,000 on the game. What made it even more interesting, it was the day that he actually supposed to make his announcement that he was officially coming back. He canceled the press conference, everything. We played for 36 hours, man.
Did anyone ever find out why he canceled the press conference? Did that news ever break?
No. Actually, we was down the street from the press conference, and one of our good friends' restaurant. They had us down 900,000, man. We got back all the money except 20,000.
Y'all were down 900K and fought back?
And fought, 36 hours, fought back, baby. Competitors, you know how this go.
Yes, you heard that right. Before his comeback to the NBA, Michael Jordan spent 36 hours gambling and actually had to postpone his press conference where he told the world he was coming back to basketball because he was gambling instead. Wow. I mean, we all know Michael Jordan was a famous gambler. He was and is someone who has been said to bet on anything. Card games, ping pong, golf. The gambling of Michael Jordan is well documented, and there have even been books published by people who have claimed that Michael Jordan owed them over $1 million due to his gambling losses. So with this in mind, what if I were to tell you that Michael Jordan's gambling might have been a lot more serious than the public thinks? What if I were to tell you that there is possible and new evidence that Jordan's NBA career was affected by his gambling, and that it is very possible that at one point in time, Michael Jordan was actually secretly suspended by the NBA for an entire season due to his gambling. So what's up, guys? Mike here, and yes, I've made a video on this before. However, as I said, there have been new developments in this story, which means there is even more potential proof here that Michael Jordan did not take a break to go and play baseball and instead was secretly suspended by the NBA due to his gambling. Now, I know that's a crazy statement. However, as you watch this video, I'm telling you, you will be amazed at just how much credibility this conspiracy theory has. Quickly, before we jump in.
Now that's why what Tim, the ex-ref, was saying, Tim Donaghy was saying, like, David Stern made me the scapegoat. He made me the face of the gambling thing because he couldn't, like I said, go down the pipeline of certain superstars that were possibly a part of that thing, a part of that ring, I should say. And that's why you think about little conspiracy theories like this and how they might actually not be conspiracy, they might actually be fact. That Jordan, in fact, was part of that ring back in the day. And because of his gambling issues, they had to suspend him temporarily. because of policy reasons and rules, but mainly because they wanted, they didn't want Jordan to be, arrested, or because his gambling had got so careless, they wanted to remove him from the league so he could think about it for a little bit, but not necessarily remove him, but make it look like he's retiring for a bit. Almost like how people say they going on vacation, but they really going to jail. That type of shit. They pretty much knew that Michael was going to be the face of the league. Put it like this, right? When it's time to suspend your superstar from the league and you don't have another Michael Jordan to put asses in the seats, you don't necessarily suspend him. You make it look like he's leaving and he might come back type shit. Just so we can keep the suspense of his jersey and the shit selling.
To that though, remember, I am giving away a PS5 or an Xbox Series X as soon as we hit 1.7 million subscribers, so subscribe for that. And I'm also giving away a basketball jersey of your choice to one subscriber.
I kind of wish that I could fast forward again. I don't know what happened to my media players, but for some reason my media player literally has gotten disabled lately to where I can't move forward or backwards in videos anymore. I don't know what the fuck happened. It's to the point where I gotta try to find a media player to even facilitate some of these videos now, because it's getting annoying now that I don't know what, like I said, what the fuck happened, what update happened to where I can't necessarily do anything 30 seconds or 10 seconds later like I used to do. I'm starting to look at things different. Let me pause that. I'm starting to look at things different. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Mafia Princess, what's going on? Oh, I did say that when you said Wizards earlier. My bad. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've said this before. Like, I don't watch sports anymore. I said in the beginning of the show again. I stopped watching sports when Kobe passed. I kind of was out of it a little bit beforehand when he, had blew his Achilles and things like that. The whole LeBron era was starting to really arise and whatnot. I kind of just strayed away from sports altogether because it started to feel so fake. It started to feel so fucking fake, especially when I started looking at the Miami Heat. Because this is around the time where, like I said, I started to do my journey as far as looking down rabbit holes and things like that. I started looking at LeBron James and Wade a little bit differently. I can't find that picture, but there was literally a picture or video I had seen to where it damn near looked like devil horns were coming out of LeBron James and Dwayne Wade's head. And that made me think to myself, okay, they might not necessarily be doing, black magic on the court, things like that, even though that was also a conspiracy. But this made me think that there were other things happening, other unworldly things happening on the fucking court when you have people throwing full court alley-oops to each other on a regular fucking basis. Okay? Just superhuman type shit was happening with Wade and LeBron. And I was like, okay, something else is going on. And then the whole thing happened with Curry hitting all those wild jump shots. I'm like, yo, something else is up. Something else is up in the NBA. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I know for a fact something else is going on for sure. And it definitely isn't right. And this whole sports just started to look very WWE-ish to me, WWF to me. And it just seemed very fake, and pretty much if you followed the business, you knew who was going to win every year. There's been years in like each and every time I've kind of been able to predict who's going to win the Super Bowl or win the NBA championship just based upon looking at the business of the league. Because that's where you really got to follow. You just follow the money. Just follow the money. Who's got the most money to pay for having a championship right now? You know what I mean? Little things like that. That's why it was like a no-brainer when the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship. It was a no fucking brainer because of Jason Tatum. It was no brainer. They were trying to put money into making Jason Tatum the star. Like it's just certain shit. Like even when the most obvious one would be Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. That was one of the most obvious fucking years I've ever seen. that you knew someone was going to win an NFL championship, because the camera keeps panning to whose girlfriend. He just so happens to win that same year because we're panning to Taylor Swift. You mean to tell me we invited Taylor Swift to this Super Bowl and her husband or boyfriend ain't gonna win the ring? Fuck out of here. Like, damn near everybody knew Travis was going to win the ring that year. Just think about shit like that. Every fucking body knew ahead of time Travis Kelce was going to win the NFL, the Super Bowl. Everybody fucking knew the Chiefs was going to win that year. Had shit to do with Patrick Mahomes. Nothing. It had nothing to do with Mahomes. Absolutely nothing. It has something to do with the fact that we paid millions of dollars to get Taylor Swift ass in the seat. So we are giving Travis and his team this ring because it's part of the what? Business.
He tweeted Mickey Mouse All-Star Game. Just talking trash to the All-Star Game because he wasn't allowed.
Do you know he's like a freak at FIFA? Like an
Yeah, I saw that. He went
undefeated,
right?
Yeah.
If you could switch two people from the All-Star teams, who would you switch out?
I would definitely.
Okay. This is why I wanted to try to move some ahead, but one second, yo. One second. I'm trying to. I should have. I just looked up a media player.
Video today. As for the story of Michael Jordan, we all know that after the 1993 season, Michael Jordan's father was tragically murdered, and so Mike decided to play baseball in his memory. Or that's at least what the NBA would like you to believe, because there is very real proof that instead of taking a break from basketball on his own free will, the NBA in fact suspended Mike from the league due to the massive amount of gambling he was doing by the end of the 1993 season. Trust me when I say the gambling got so bad that Michael was starting to be seen with known criminals. But before we get into that, let's talk about Michael Jordan's gambling in general. Here are just a few.
Imagine that. Right? We ain't talking about just him having a gambling problem as much as we are literally seeing him walking around with mobsters. We are literally seeing him walk around with mobsters. You don't say. The 3-time going on 6-time NBA champion is walking around with mobsters.
Wild Michael Jordan gambling stories to go with Antoine Walker's story. In college, Jordan would bet with other students in games of pool, and a $5 check written by Michael Jordan to another student actually was put up for auction and sold for over $12,000. With the Bulls, Jordan once bet his teammates after a plane ride that his bags would come out first. Seeing that the odds were in their favor, Mike's teammates jumped at the bet only to be in shock after Michael's bags came out first. It turns out that Mike had bribed a baggage handler to make sure his bags came out first, and after they of course did, he still kept his teammates' money. With the
If you doing little shit like that just to win a bet, you mean to tell me you ain't finding ways to rig your own NBA games possibly? Let's be real here. Let's be all the way real here. I'm just saying. It'll be little shit like that that you have to say, things that make you say, I wonder what else you would lie about. I should say, I wonder what else you would bet on and try to pull over the wool over somebody's eyes.
Dream Team, Michael lost a game of ping pong to Christian Laettner. Because he had to be the best at everything, Nate Butler, a photographer with the team, described what happened next. Quote, Laettner beat him, he threw the paddle. He didn't talk for 2 days to anyone. Come to find out, he had a ping pong table delivered up to his room. No one knew about it, and he was practicing for the rematch. They had when it comes to conspiracy theory, 3 days later. It was something like 21-4, he destroyed him. And our final story here, while at North Carolina, Jordan's teammate Buzz Peterson claims that when he brought Mike to his home, Mike played cards with Buzz's grandma and attempted to cheat when the old lady went to the bathroom. This is real, there, but this happened. That's how much this man hated. Well, let's just tell these stories because they established that Jordan was indeed a huge gambler, but they of course don't prove that the NBA secretly suspended him. That proof comes in the form of 4 undeniable facts, and so let's start with fact number 1. Michael Jordan was the NBA at the time. He was not only the most popular player by far by the end of the 1993 season, he was one of the most famous people in the world. Everyone wanted to be like Mike, and his fame directly correlated to the NBA's ratings. To show you what I mean, Game 1 of the 1993 Finals with the Bulls had 27.21 million viewers, while the closeout Game 6 had 32.1 million viewers. The next year, without Jordan, even though the New York Knicks were in the finals, Game 1 of the 1994 Finals had 17.25 million viewers, almost 10 million less than the year before, and the closeout Game 7, that had 16.9 million viewers, around 15 million less than 1993. Again, Michael Jordan was the NBA at this time, and so it was in the NBA's best interest to keep his public profile as positive as possible. Remember, this was before social media, which meant that the public was not at all aware of the extent of Jordan's gambling. The NBA and Jordan's management team was able to keep that away from the mainstream media, and as we just saw with the ratings of the 1994 NBA Finals, it was for sure in the NBA's best interest to keep Jordan's image as clean as possible. The problem was that began to get harder when fact number 2 comes into play. Michael Jordan was getting reckless. Because yes, Jordan was a big-time gambler for a decent amount of time before his potential suspension. However, it was in 1993 where for the first time this gambling leaked into the media in the worst way possible. Because the day before Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks in New York City, Michael Jordan checked into Bally's in Atlantic City at 5:07 p.m. according to their records. He would then proceed to gamble for almost 10 hours as he was still spotted gambling at 2:30 in the morning. Bally's is a 2-hour drive from Madison Square Garden, which means at the earliest, Jordan would have made it back around 4:30 to 5 a.m. the morning before an Eastern Conference Finals game. To make matters worse here, the Bulls would go on to lose in Game 2, giving the Knicks an actual 2-0 series lead at this point, and the media jumped on this story. Clearly, it appeared that Mike was valuing his gambling over winning a title at this point, and crazily enough, this was not the first time that Mike had done this. He actually brought a reporter with him on a trip to Atlantic City during a playoff series against the 76ers in 1991, but that did not get as much scrutiny. 1993 was different because the Bulls had a real chance of losing to the Knicks. Now, luckily, the Bulls would pull out this series and they would win the title, but to put it very simply here, the NBA can't have any of their players doing anything like this. This, of course, was a horrible look and they needed to take action. You have to think that this was the league's mindset at this point in time, especially when we consider fact number 3.
Hello, viewers. Today I will be covering how the NBA
before the Eastern Conference Finals, Michael Jordan's name began to get grouped in with actual criminals. Yes, Slim Buller, a man who was charged with dealing drugs 3 separate times, was on trial in February of 1993, and none other than Michael Jordan was forced by the court to testify on his case. Slim was facing several charges of money laundering, among other things, and during the investigation on him, a check totaling $57,000 written by Michael Jordan was found in Slim's possession. In court, Mike was forced to admit that this check was written due to a gambling debt, which of course was a horrible look as the NBA's golden boy was gambling gambling with a known criminal. Then, to make things even worse, fact number 4. In May of 1993, a man by the name of Richard Aquinas released a book titled Michael and Me, Our Gambling Addiction, My Cry for Help. In this book, Richard stated that Mike at one point owed him as much as $1.2 million due to his gambling losses in golf. The release of this book again leaked into the national media, and because of all of this, the NBA launched an official investigation into Michael Jordan's gambling. Now, with everything we have already talked about in mind, it should have been a certainty that Mike was given some form of real punishment by the league, as his gambling had simply gone way too far. However, after Michael Jordan officially retired, just 2 days later, the NBA closed their investigation and stated that in their eyes, Michael Jordan did nothing wrong. Nothing.
Just 2 days later. All right, we just gonna send you away for a little bit. That's what I said. It reminds me of like Casino and Goodfellas and shit like that. 'Cause remember, even in Goodfellas, they was like, all right, well, going to jail ain't really going to jail. You just going to chill out with the homies for a second. You know what I'm saying? Eat some pasta. You know, just relax a little bit. You got your own personal kitchen and beds and anything like that. Y'all just chill for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Wait till the heat die down and all that. Wait till the heat die down off the rest of us, and you can go back doing what you're doing. That's pretty much what happened here. They pretty much just said, all right, Jordan, calm down. Relax. You go over here for a second while the heat comes down off of us in the NBA. Because if you, the face of the league, starts to get investigated by the cops as far as the gambling and things like that, then that fucks up everybody's money.
Wrong? He had to testify in court because he was gambling with criminals. He was seen in Atlantic City before the Eastern Conference Finals gambling at 2:30 in the morning. He was racking up millions of dollars in gambling losses, and that's just what's been released to the public. We still, in 2021, have stories like the Antoine Walker story pop up random. Who knows what other problems Michael Jordan's gambling was causing at this time? Actually, I know who knows. The NBA definitely did, as they did an investigation on him, and I'm sure we can all agree that they probably found some more stuff that did not paint Mike in the best light. A secret suspension, a deal with Michael Jordan makes sense because it was the best choice for both sides. Mike, of course, did not want to tarnish his own brand. He did not want to tarnish his legacy. And as for the NBA, if the face of their league was suspended and now associated with gambling, you can be sure that a lot of fans and a lot of parents that wanted their kids to be like Mike would have instead turned on Michael Jordan, and that would have hurt the NBA ratings at the time a whole lot. And guys, if you need even more proof here, let's just listen to Mike speak at his first retirement press conference.
5 years down the line, if that urge comes back, if the Bulls have me, if David Stern lets me back in the league, I may come back.
If David Stern lets me back in the league. The man said it himself, which means at this point, let's sum everything up. It is very, very clear that Michael Jordan loves to gamble, and that at no point in time did that stop. However, once this gambling began to actually get reported in a negative light in the public eye, suddenly Mike was getting investigated by the NBA for gambling, and then boom, the very next season, he was playing baseball. Now, was he forced to take a year off in order to save both his reputation and the NBA's ratings? Well, that's for you to decide, and I'd love to hear your thoughts below in the comments. As for now, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I hope.
Okay, so with that being said, now I want to get into what possibly happened to, what happened to his father. Where is that? Where is that at? Where is that at? Where is it at? Oh, it reversed on me.
2002, you did a Real Sports appearance.
Brian Gumbel.
With Brian Gumbel.
Yeah.
And you talked about how you, quote unquote, persuaded Yankees players who owed you money to affect the games.
Well, I didn't actually do that. They tried to get me to say that it was the Yankees. Now, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. The last team I'm going to hold accountable is the Yankees. But they tried to get me to say that it was Yankees. And all I said is, look, we had members of a lot of teams that were gambling with us, players. Okay. And I'm not singling out the Yankees.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not saying they threw any games. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Not with my Yankees.
Well, you were involved in the NBA at one point.
With NBA players?
Well, you had some sort of involvement in the NBA.
Well, I was actually a speaker for them. I was speaking to a lot of NBA rookies for a couple of years.
Okay, about what?
Dangers of gambling.
Aha.
Yeah. They recruited me to actually talk to the
As
players.
you were running an illegal gambling operation?
No, this was after.
This is after.
This was after,
okay.
yeah.
Well, you spoke on the Michael Jordan situation.
Yeah.
How involved were you, in terms of your, well, I'm not going to say your involvement, but how much did you know about that whole situation? Because Jordan himself was a serious gambler.
Yes.
You actually referred to him as a degenerate gambler.
He's a big gambler, big. I mean, Michael gambles on everything from what my experiences, what I was told, and people that know him, yes.
Okay. Did you personally know him at all or no?
I met him. I met him actually at an NBA deal that we had, an event, yeah.
Okay, but he never gambled with you?
With me, no.
Okay. So he had this serious gambling problem, and then his father gets murdered. And there was always speculation if one had something to do with the other. From what you know.
Again, I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but being that I was working with the NBA at that time, I was told two things. One, that he was told to leave the NBA around the time that his father got murdered because stories were about to come out, and there was a lot of heat on the fact that because of Michael's gambling habit, his father paid the price. And the NBA didn't want the press, so they asked him to leave for a while. That's when he went to play baseball. And then when things settled down, he came back. The plan was always, from what I was told, for him to come back. Now again, I heard this from a source I believe was pretty knowledgeable, somebody I knew pretty well inside the NBA. So for me, it's secondhand information, but I thought it was reliable. And then putting it all together, knowing that Michael did have this gambling issue, that it's very possible that that could have happened.
So you're saying there's a strong possibility that his father was murdered because he wasn't paying back his gambling debts?
I don't know. Again, I can't be specific. I don't know if it wasn't paying back. I don't know what, again, the specifics of it were, but I was led to believe that it had something to do with his gambling problem.
Okay.
Exactly what, I don't know. And honestly, I didn't care enough to look into it.
Okay. Well, and the guys who killed him got caught and sentenced.
From what I heard, yeah.
Yeah.
Not just from what you heard, DJ Vlad. We're not going to play it now, but he actually interviewed Michael Jordan's dad's killer, Daniel Green. Vlad did an interview with him 5 years ago. Charles Oakley and Tim Hardaway, of course, didn't necessarily take a liking to it, but they did also say something about it as well. Just on little things like that, Daniel Green actually, I don't know why this came up. Daniel Green actually, made a music video with a stolen NBA championship ring. Matter of fact, I'll just play this real quick. I'll play this real quick. This is fast. This is not too much.
So, along with his body, there's some belongings. There is a NBA championship watch. There's an NBA championship rings. So what happened with all these things? Okay, well, and see, that's one of the things that's definitely been twisted around. When we put his body in the water, now whether he, at some point, like went through his pockets, got a wallet out or something like that, I don't know. Because like I said, I never seen one. I never saw a wallet. I never saw any ID. I never saw.
When we put his body in the water, so obviously he didn't act alone. And if those things did get removed or stolen off of him, it wasn't by Daniel Green, but the people that were helping him or paying him, I should say.
Any money that came from him that I knew of. Larry had money already, of course, but I don't know, like for a fact, that the money came from him. About 3 days later, we were in Fayetteville, North Carolina, with the car. I think it was on a Monday, which would have been the 26th. And this was just before we actually ended up getting rid of the car. I was looking for a change to make a phone call, because my brother, his phone was in his ex, name, so you couldn't make like a long distance call. He's living like in a trailer park. Like at the time, He's in the military. He's a sergeant in the Army. So he's living in his trailer park outside of Fayetteville. So I get in the car and I ride around and I find like there's a bank of phones. So I say, okay, I'm gonna I'm just gonna go ahead and call. So I try to call Collect at first. Whoever I was trying to call, I figured maybe my sister or somebody, she didn't accept the call. So I go back in the car and I'm looking for change. And as I'm looking for change, like in the middle of the console, there's like a door. I don't know if you've ever been like in a Lexus or one of the modern cars. Cause you got to think, well, I didn't even realize that this Lexus was like an expensive car. I thought it was like a Toyota, just like a name of a Toyota, because I had been locked up for 2.5 years. I'd never even seen one. But, when I went and kind of pressed down, it kind of flipped around, and inside of it was a watch, and there was an all-star ring. I'd never seen a championship ring, period. I never had one on. There was a stipulation that they said that Michael Jordan identified a ring on my finger. That was a lie. They lied on Michael Jordan. Couldn't find out. He never said that. But there was an all-star ring, which was made out of like a silver type of material. That didn't look expensive, to be honest with you. And there was a watch, and there was a picture of a child, like in the same thing. So that was found 3 days later, and that's why if you look at the trial transcript, the girls that was with us like the same day that this murder happened, and the day after, people that like nobody saw me with this ring or with this watch until that Monday. That's when I found it, and when I found it, to be honest with you, it's like it says Michael Jordan, like it has Jordan on it, right? It has the Bulls. It's something that has Jordan's name on it. So I'm like, wow, this is cool. And I'm like, Larry, what's up with this? He said, man, I don't know. He said, man, this look like fake to me. I said, yeah, I'm thinking it's like maybe like commemorative stuff or whatever that you could order. Didn't nobody think it was real, man. But I put it on because, it had Jordan brand on it.
Okay. And you actually ended up going back to your house at some point and making a rap video while wearing this ring and watch.
Right. That was made in Fayetteville. Yeah, that was made while we was in Fayetteville. So this was made. Yeah, this was made like immediately, maybe an hour or two after I found this watch in the ring.
Okay. So
crazy work. You're in the music video wearing Michael Jordan stuff, rapping about how you killed his dad. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just crazy upon crazy. So like I said, it just made me think about little things like that because for years people have been saying that NBA games are rigged, or I should say sports games are rigged, and there's ways that you can actually, pinpoint those type of things. But for example, like this little video, right? With the magnets in the rim.
Hello viewers. Today I will be covering how the NBA appears to use a magnetic rim to ensure that the ball either goes in or doesn't go in. To start, I'll begin with a pretty classic video from the 2007 NBA playoffs.
Baron Davis can make a shot from anywhere on the court. Is it magic or is it magnets? Tiny magnets placed on the ball, ensuring a strong attraction to the metal rim. Watch. And when Baron needs more magnets, Baron gets more magnets. Don't believe me? Watch the NBA playoffs and you'll see there's really no other explanation.
Okay, the first one's Philadelphia versus Toronto. Look at the shot. Ball bounces again, bounces to the other side, drops in. That's not natural. Ball bounces up. It's not going to bounce to the other side of the rim after.
Yeah, like it just continuously just stayed right there on the rim. Like, all right, we have to go in eventually.
Not on the first bounce, the second bounce, and then goes to the other side of the rim and then drops inside. It's just not natural.
Is it magic or is it magnets?
Okay, another game winner. Look at the shot. Yeah, I'll slow it down. It's hard to see. He takes the shot. It's the ball sailing. The ball's short. And then you can see right about here, the ball pulls out and then it goes in. You know what's coming next, folks.
Is it magic or is it magnets?
This one is absolutely ridiculous. It's actually the one that woke me up to the magnet hoax with the NBA. Just watch this guy take the shot. I don't think he's ever touched a basketball until this point in his life. Look at the shot. Takes it. It gets stuck. Really? Have you ever seen that in your life? You know what's coming.
Is it magic or is it mag?
It literally just stuck right there on the back of the rim. That's not even possible.
This is another one that's absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen this in my life, even playing with flat basketballs in my backyard. Just never seen this before. The ball gets stuck to the front of the rim. Really?
Is it magic or is it magnets?
This one is Zion Williamson from his debut where he scored 22 points. Note that no one is covering him. Takes the shot. Looks short to me, but it still goes in. Again, you can see it when it looks like it's going to drop, and then it gets pulled a little bit and goes in. I don't know about you. That sure looks pretty fake to me. You know what I'm cutting to right now.
Is it magic or is it magnets?
Another Zion Williamson one. Again, Zion is not covered at all, and he takes the shot.
Look how far back the defense actually was, too. Again, other evidence of rigged games. Other evidence of rigged games.
It looks like it's going to the right, and then it pulls to the left and goes in the hoop. I'll play it again in slow mo so you can see it. Ball looks like it's going to the right, pulls to the left, goes in for a swoosh. That looks pretty fake to me.
Is it magic or is it magnets?
Okay, this one is a fan. He misses the layup for $10. That's pretty bad. He takes a free throw for 100, and he's gonna airball the free throw. That's pretty bad, airballing a free throw. Bro, I did that in like 5th grade. He takes a 3-point shot and airballs it by a mile. He wasn't even close. So I mean, the magnet, that ain't gonna help. You need to at least get it somewhat close to the rim for the magnet to work. But here he goes for the half-court shot. And, okay, he's dribbling. I don't think this guy's ever touched a basketball until this point. And look at that. He makes the half-court shot. Do you believe that? The guy that airballed a free throw makes a half-court shot on the first try? I don't think so.
It doesn't make sense.
You know what I always say.
Is it magic or is it magnets?
Well, that about covers it for this video.
It literally wouldn't have made no sense. Y'all saw it. The guy couldn't even hit a layup. I'm talking about a layup. He's right in front of the rim, damn near airball that. Steps back 2 feet, airballs it again. Goes back to the 3-point line, barely even touches the rim at all. All of a sudden, you become Damian Lillard from half court. Again, this is why I just stopped watching sports. Because I'm like, it's certain shit that you just start wondering, like, all right, come on now. like I said, a lot of the shots that I've seen Steph Curry hit, where he just look like he's just throwing that shit up, I'm like, all right, come on now. Come on now. Austin Reeves had a 50 ball last night, NBA's ring. But yeah, man, it's just little shit, man. It'd be little shit where it's like, all right, now how did he get that? How did he make that shot? You can't be serious. But then, like I said, God rest Kobe Bryant's soul. You know, I think about him. I think about Michael Jordan. I think about certain superstar, LeBron James, certain superstars to where the magnets went off. I'll give you another example. Like I said, God rest his soul. I believe in Kobe's retirement game, where they played the lackluster defense, of course, for his retirement, but he couldn't miss. It was one of those things where it's like he couldn't. It was one of those nights he just couldn't miss. And I'm saying to myself, okay, this is starting to look a little scripted. Rest in peace to the legend. I love you, Kobe. But that retirement game looked a little scripted. It looked a little bit too scripted for me. It wasn't like a regular road game or regular home game where you play your heart out and all this, that, and the third, and team is really kicking your ass and you making a comeback or just making it so it's still basketball. That game looked scripted than a motherfucker. The only time they actually played serious was when Kobe was not on the court anymore. That was the only time you saw some seriousness in both the teams. Kobe got on the court, it was, all right, shoot the ball. Yeah! I'm like, Kobe Bryant, play some goddamn defense. play some damn defense on him. Yes, he's retiring tonight, but play some defense. Play some damn defense on him. So, all right. Let me see. Damn, I got sidetracked there for a second. What else am I gonna get to? Put my phone away. What's next thing? Oh. Almost forgot. So I came across this earlier. Like I said, when I was thinking about, what if this starts to leak out to the other pipelines of things?
The Malik Beasley. And, I said earlier, this is the time of year where a bunch of NBA players we've never heard of get paid a lot more money than most NFL players make. I definitely hadn't heard of Malik Beasley. Sixth man. Shooting guard, I believe.
Now, this video was made 3 months ago.
The Detroit Pistons, due to become a free agent. ESPN reported yesterday that he's being investigated for potential gambling, and not just gambling, on the DraftKings app when he shouldn't be, doing things in games. Allegedly, he's being investigated, as his lawyer said, just allegations. He's entitled to the presumption of innocence, but he's on the radar screen. And it's a matter of a public report from ESPN, one of the NBA's broadcast partners, that Malik Beasley is being scrutinized for potential gambling. And we had Jonte Porter last year. We had Tim Donaghy years ago. The NFL has been lucky. Now, I don't know how much of it's luck, how much of it is the NFL turns a blind eye and doesn't really investigate the way it could or should. I don't know. The NFL justifies getting in bed with gambling because it gives the NFL access to information from the sports books about which of their players are gambling when they shouldn't. Basically, the sports books are ratting on their customers as part of their relationship with the NFL. And one of the things I saw in the Malik Beasley story, one of the major U.S. sports books detected unusual activity as it related to wagers regarding a game involving Beasley's team at the time in early 24, I believe, the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe. How much irregular activity? And this is all speculation, okay? But when you consider the relationship between the sports books and the NFL, where the sports books pay the NFL millions for data and sponsorship and everything else that goes along with the relationship. And the NFL, again, they justify it by saying we get access to information from them that helps us enforce our rules. Okay, are there... And I'm already envisioning the phone call from NBC that it's reckless to engage in this kind of speculation, which would come after the phone call from the NFL to NBC. But I think this is fair. Could there be a situation in which the NFL is alerted to some sort of irregular activity by one of its sportsbook partners and the NFL wants that dead? Let's not talk about that. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's deal with that in other ways. Because the biggest fear the NFL had back when it hated gambling was it's going to compromise the integrity of the game. That if legalized gambling occurs on a widespread basis, normal incidents of the game will be viewed as rigging of the game. The commissioner said that. I'm paraphrasing it, but that's what he said. Normal incidents will be viewed as something abnormal. Part of a process to rig the game. And remember when the Super Bowl went to Vegas and I didn't get invited to the commissioner's press conference, and I don't know why I didn't get invited, but I had asked a question of one of the executives about this dichotomy between what the commissioner said in the past and what they're doing now. And it's irreconcilable. It's hypocritical. And they offer up word salads like we get access to information from the sports books to help us detect when people are gambling. They went from hating it to loving it. And the reason they hated it is it makes people think the fix is in. And I'm at the front line of dealing with fans who constantly say the fix is in. And the NFL acts like Mr. Magoo when it comes to the accusations that are rampant that the fix is in. And then they joke about it. They joke about the script. They shout down anyone who thinks there's a bias for the Chiefs. And I don't think there's a bias for the Chiefs. At least there's not a conscious bias for the Chiefs. I think there could be subconscious biases for team that is the new America's team. Sorry, Cowboys, but it's true. Team that is the showcase team, the centerpiece team. We want them to advance. We want them to keep playing. It isn't about gambling. It's about ratings. It's about money. The one thing I think the NFL has done in recent years that has created problems for the integrity of the game, it's not about gambling. It's about being too obsessed with money to the point where the people on the football side of the firewall are thinking about money and it's affecting football decisions. So my point is this: the NFL hasn't had a scandal. And part of it is definitely luck. Part of it may be those relationships with the sports books allow the NFL to bury anything before it becomes a scandal. Now, there are certain things that I think couldn't be buried, especially if the feds get involved. But if the sports books are doing see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil when it comes to any irregularities that might make someone think there's a Malik Beasley or a Jonte Porter, it's easy to bury it and pat the shovel on the pile. Remember when Bijan Robinson didn't play, but a handful of snaps when he had an illness that hadn't been disclosed? Bijan Robinson, a guy who's, fantasy football and prop bets, popular his rookie year, 2023.
It's just little certain coincidences. I'm going to play this real quick here, too. It's just little certain coincidences over the years to where it's like it happens in all sports to me. It just happens in all sports. Just people just aren't paying attention to it happening in their particular sport.
Pressure coming. He picked it up. Inside. Kraft's got it. At the 10. Kraft running away to the end zone. He has 2 touchdowns.
Calvin Ridley just finished a year-long suspension for placing bets on NFL games. And now the league is announcing it's suspending 5 more players for gambling infractions. For the Detroit Lions, Jameson Williams, Stanley Berryhill, Quintez Cephas, and C.J. Moore, along with the Commanders' defensive end Shaka Toney, were all suspended for violating the league's gambling policy. Now, Williams and Berryhill got 6 games for betting on college football games, which is technically legal, but they did it at the team facility. Moore, Cephas, and Toney were suspended indefinitely, which is a year because they placed a bet on NFL games. Fellas, you know the league is cracking down on players and gambling. So why would you have a self-inflicted penalty like that?
More NFL players are being suspended for sports betting. The NFL has suspended Isaiah Rodgers and Rashad Berry, as well as free agent Demetrius Taylor, indefinitely for betting on NFL games during the 2022 season. Both Rodgers and Berry have since been released by the Colts. This ruling comes just hours after Titans offensive tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere was given a 6-game suspension for betting on other sports while on the team facilities. And this news comes a few months after several Lions players, including wide receiver Jameson Williams and one commander, were given suspensions for violating the gambling policy. Hopefully the NFL's message is getting across and this list doesn't continue to grow. More NFL players are being suspended.
They don't have control over it because they want it to keep going.
Talk a little bit about the boom in sports gambling and how that affects you.
They want it to keep happening.
On the field, the pressure you might feel from gamblers who've got money on the game?
No pressure. No pressure.
Why not?
I'm just playing the game that I love.
I just go out there and play the game that I love at the end of the day, and so
I know people gamble on the game and everything like that, but at the end of the day, I play football for the love of it, and that's what I always will do.
I don't do it, but I'm sure a lot of people love to do it. Gets a lot of people involved, and some people take it a little too far. But I guess you could say it's good for the game.
Talk a little bit about the boom.
I didn't realize it wasn't playing in the thing. I'll play y'all what I was playing just now. I'll show you what I was playing just now. I didn't realize it wasn't showing. I had to look for a second. I was like, wait a minute. Not this one.
Calvin really just finished a year-long suspension for placing bets on NFL games. And now the league is announcing it's suspending 5 more players for gambling infractions.
More NFL players are being suspended for sports betting. The NFL has suspended Isaiah Rodgers and Rashad Berry, as well as free agent Demetrius Taylor, indefinitely for betting on NFL games during the 2022 season. Both Rodgers and Berry have since been released by the Colts. This ruling comes just hours after Titans offensive tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere was given a 6-game suspension for betting on other sports while on the team facilities. And this news comes a few months after several Lions players, including wide receiver Jamison Williams and one commander, were given suspensions for violating the gambling policy.
It is not much to stop them from going down the pipeline of like a DraftKings, Prize Picks, things like that. And if that is the case, and like I said, they're trying to even sabotage said things like the Super Bowl, one can only think about, a certain sports betting application in business.
Build a website you love with Wix.
With Wix.
For your words.
FanDuel, America's #1 sports.
Of course, FanDuel comes up as an ad.
Introducing FanDuel Picks.
I think some of the small competitors have been easier to take from, but we went out and said, how do we make this better for sports bettors? And just our value prop, we had a lot of thought went into this. How do we do something that's different and better? And so instead of spending money in advertising, let's give it.
I was going to say, the customer acquisition costs have always been like this big killer, but you think you can acquire more customers without spending
our
marketing?
Customer acquisition cost is definitely less than a DraftKings or FanDuel. And the reason is every time you bet with Fanatics, whether you win or lose, we give you fan cash that you can then make other bets with. You can get merchandise, you can get trading cards.
That's what I was going to say. Tying it all together, do you find those synergies make it a much stickier place? How do you play with that? How do you use that?
Much stickier, resonating really well. Look, we're going to give out $1 billion of fan cash next year to bettors. Okay,
do you count that as customer acquisition costs when you do that?
I think we run a little bit of a lower margin, but I think we can make it up in volume and doing the right thing.
So your customer acquisition cost is lower, but you're spending that money in other ways and other places.
Absolutely. Our customer acquisition cost is lower for sure, okay, than a FanDuel or DraftKings. And we also have a lot of brand marketing for Fanatics that we have from the commerce business, from the collectibles business. And so I think...
So if you guys don't know who's talking, of course, this is CEO Michael Rubin. Now, I know some of you are probably saying, well, what's Michael Rubin got to do with this? Of course. But we are on the specific topic of sports betting. You know who else likes to gamble? There's a gambling problem that is, friends with Michael Rubin and also in business with Michael Rubin. He's also in business with Fanatics. Oh. This guy again. And look what he's hosting. A $250,000 blackjack tournament. Not poker, just a blackjack tournament. Little nothing that's nothing too conspicuous, nothing too private, nothing riggy. We're just doing some blackjack betting, But it made me wonder if the NFL is going to be investigated next. Who is that going to involve? If they're going to get into sports betting with the NFL. If one of the ambassadors of the league that, decides every year who even performs. If you haven't noticed a certain pattern of friends that Jay-Z has had perform for the Super Bowl, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, first year in there, I believe, was who? Rihanna at the Super Bowl, right? His first year there. His first year as ambassador. That's who's performing at the Super Bowl. Riri, get your ass out here. Okay. Then the following Super Bowl is the debacle of, oh, yeah, Dre and Snoop can perform, but we don't want to see 50 Cent out there because of Mr. Petty here. So we know who has control over the actual performances of the Super Bowl, right? If we put two and two together now. We know who has something really to do with Bad Baby being on the stage or not being on the stage, and who stands to lose things and who stands to lose everything. That bag is on the table from Jay. So, made me think. Just made me think. What if this is actually the way that they take Jay down? Do something so innocent, because they try to get him through the trafficking. They try to get him through the sex trafficking. They try to get him involved in, and caught up with Diddy. That didn't work. But what if they were to go through other means? Now, reason why I'm saying to myself, okay, if that is the case, and if what I think is about to happen, because I remember showing you guys the Sloan Bella video. Let's see if I can find it here. I remember showing you the Sloan Bella video in which she predicted and talked about pretty much. Why is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Talked about pretty much how Jay-Z and Beyonce were done. They were separating and things like that, and then pretty soon, I don't know why I can't. Are you shitting me? I hate my computer. All right, fine. Because that means I got to get it again. Give me 1 second then. Yep, White Party Michael Rubin. We remember one of my new eyes, 2036. Let me take this down for just a second. 'Cause I didn't know my computer tried to be slick and get rid of this. But I will always get it back. Oh, is that what I called it in here? Is that what it's called in here? Yeah, my computer's acting real slow and dumb like it doesn't have it, so that's fine. I shall get it myself and archive and make sure I archive it. It just made me think back. God damn it, because that means I'm gonna have to, all right, well, I'm gonna just keep it. I don't want to play the whole video. I want to play just the part that I need. I tell you, this is more and more evidence and proof that they be watching me. Because there be little dumb shit happening like that.
Happening.
We have got to the point where literally.
Of course, I get an unnecessary AI producer ad again.
These people are up there, and I'm kind of torn between Chris Brown and Justin Bieber. But I'm going the Justin Bieber way here because Bieber is involved in this sideways. Okay, so there's a sideways connection to Bieber, which I'm sure they're all in the industry, different forms of expression, but they're all in the industry, so this makes sense to me. And then when I look at Jay-Z and Beyonce, I see the fading on the candle. The wax is melting. They are what we would consider to be high-level government experiments. I'm going to put it that way. It doesn't start off that way. But that's what they are. That's the cat jumping in for her opinion. She feels like she needs to talk. Anyway, their expression is this is a government operation, and it's no longer working. So their Jay-Z will be brought back and remolded in a different form. So they really have no ability to control the outcome of what is going to be happening. Okay, this is ridiculous. Cat, hold on. Get down. Come on, get down. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, she's gone. She's gone. She's not going to distract me over there, stalking me for lunch. Anyhow, the government, okay, and it is a government or it is a authoritative takedown of, they're switching midline of what they feel people want to hear or what people want to have happen. So they are taking their public people and they are saying, okay, we take these people and we're going to reinvent them so they're more palatable in a different way. Only thing is it's not going to be more palatable. So I am seeing...
There's a certain name she's about to say in regards to this that makes me wonder, okay, is this how they're going to take him down? Listen to the name she says.
The face of Jay-Z and Beyonce kind of shifting in the next 3 years. So by 2027, they no longer wield the public power that you think they do, and they will have to approach you in a different way. Now, on an energetic level, what I'm being told about Jay-Z is that he has investments in all kinds of mind technology, aka Elon Musk. But I'm not sure it's through Elon Musk. It's in other countries, other kinds of capital venture towards the controlling of the human mindset. He has allowed portions of what he chooses to do in his life into a consciousness center where people can tap into being him. So it's almost a robotic stance where you yourself can put the goggles on and learn how to live Jay-Z's life. He's agreed to do this. So he's kind of a captive, but in a public form and has no cognitive or conscious awareness of this. That's a weird thing to say, but that's just the way, that's the energy I'm picking up on. No conscious awareness of what's going on around him. Also, keep in mind, they are very much, and here's what I'm getting. I am getting both Jay-Z and Beyonce because, see, he procures her out there. He is her handler, and he is the one that pushes her out there public, and then he profits off her. So we're looking at, and I don't care how much talent you think they have. I don't care how much talent you think they have. She was chosen for him. It is a karmic thing looking at their chart, but she was...
I had to figure out where it was again because she talks quite a lot. Sorry, hold on. Okay, here we go.
As a barometer, if I can't look at you in the eyes...
Like I said, listen to the name that she says that's intertwined with Jay-Z.
And read your energy and see what you're doing, then there is something that is blocking me from doing so. And now it can be a block by them, but it can also be because they come from a different origin source, okay? So what they've done in our society is they've gotten us so used to in vitro and having babies in test tubes. Do we really know if someone chooses to do that in a higher echelon, the elite as they call them, in a higher echelon, do we really know exactly what is going to happen with those creations? Because we don't. And Jay-Z and Beyonce are kind of at that level where we're not really sure where that energy came from. Whatever, it's blocked. Now they can put a protection spell around their kid. And if I were them, I would, because the public is also crazy, okay? So the public can be crazy and they can be crazy. When I look at this though, I see and am inclined to think that there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of substituting of energy with these two. And there's a lot of moving in the direction. And if you've ever been backstage at a concert and you watch people perform, when they come back into their physical vessel, their body, from being out of their body while they're performing, it's quite a sight. And I have seen it personally. I'm not with Beyonce and Jay-Z, but I have seen it personally. It's quite a sight to see someone come back into the physical after being out of the physical. The reason that they're out of the physical is so that they can harness powerful energy to entice people who are watching, which is what these guys are doing. Now, having said that, I get Jay-Z connected to Clive Davis, connected to P. Diddy, and so there's a succession of things happening. Clive is old right now, so he's probably next in line, but I'm kind of shooting off with Chris Brown, and then I'm shooting off with Justin Bieber, and then I'm kind of going to MC Hammer. Like, it's...
When she said MC Hammer, I was like, okay, you got me now. Now you're taking me for a loop here. I'm like, you got me now, Sloan. What does MC Hammer have to do with this? And I was like, you know what? You haven't been wrong before. Spiritually, you have not been wrong before. So I'm going to trust whatever guidance that you have in your vision and say, okay, something with MC Hammer is going to reveal itself. It just revealed itself. Because I was thinking to myself, okay, wait, what if they start opening up the pipeline to the NFL? What if they somehow link Jay-Z to this? Okay, what does that got to do with MC Hammer? Right? Is what you're saying to yourself. Behold what this has to do with MC Hammer. Behold.
Who is a senior director at Branch.
What does that say right there? MC Hammer and who betting? UFC betting. Now, of course, there's nothing to do with the NFL, but we're also talking about what? Sports betting.
How have you found the event so far? And
so then I started saying, oh, because of this NBA scandal, and you heard it from multiple sources and multiple people, like, this isn't just going to stop at the NBA, this gambling scandal. This is going to go throughout all of sports. So I said, oh, maybe this is how they get him. Maybe this is how they actually take down Jay. Is if they make him look like he's a part of the gambling ring. With all the different connections that he also have as well. That's a very, very good assumption. And like I said, I had a prediction that they were going to say something about the NFL before Christmas, or I should say before the end of the year, but I didn't think it was going to be that soon. I didn't think it was going to be that soon at all. What's this kid's name? Antonio something. Antonio Gates, that's what it was. Antonio Gates. So apparently Antonio Gates allegedly hosted and played in the rigged Miami poker game. That's a former NFL star. Again, it didn't take long for them to figure out, wait a minute, this is going on throughout all sports. Again, I read, ex-NFL star Antonio Gates identified as alleged participant in the illegal poker game in Miami. That's in the indictment. You can deny it all you want, Antonio. You can deny it all you want. Well, you know who else is, making sure that they don't motherfucking get caught up in this, even though they already have, like I said, Gilbert Arenas legal issues. In July 2025, Arenas was indicted on federal charges for allegedly operating an illegal high-stakes poker game out of his Encino, California mansion, 2022. 2022, huh? The indictment also claims that women were hired to serve drinks and provide massages in exchange for tips. August 2025, Arenas was arrested and charged with conspiracy and operating an illegal gambling business. Interesting. Very interesting there.
Hey, how y'all doing, baby? What's up, big dog? Info. Inform. Oh, let's say info.
He has a bag right now. You can't really see it too much, but there's a bag that he's carrying around that says informant lunch.
Informant? No. This is lunch. Informant. Just got back. You got a Big Mac in there? See, I'm the sixth man. Hiding in the shadows, huh?
They call me the sixth man hiding in the shadows. Now, if you don't realize he's wearing the Huskies jersey, this is a ode to the Sixth Man movie, of course.
How y'all doing, man? What's the? No, this is my lunch, man. I ain't get to eat it over there, man. I was talking too much.
Look at his face. I forgot his name, but look at his face over there. He's
What's the? No, this is my.
Look at his face. He's like, this nigga really, Gil?
Lunch, man. I ain't get to eat it over there, man. I was talking too much.
Wait, what is that? I got information on the new cake.
You feel me?
What's that, a Danish?
Oh, yeah, got my little Danish. Hey, man, look, I ain't gonna lie, they treat you good over there.
The first 48. That news. They give you coffee in there? Give you coffee in there? He did all that for a Danish.
Right? No, I got Brother Jones.
He did all that for a Danish.
Okay. With 2 pieces of shit. We ain't playing no games around here.
My bad.
The show must go on. Listen, the Blazers wasn't going to win anyway. The last thing they needed was their coach.
We said fire 2 years ago.
Well, that's crazy.
We was screaming it. We were saying fire him 2 years ago.
Wait.
Well, that's crazy.
We said fire him 2 years ago.
Well, that's crazy.
We was screaming it. We were saying fire him 2 years ago. They could have saved some money.
So, and needless to say, Gilbert Arenas, of course, he took to his own comment section and said, you know, the case has absolutely nothing to do with me, and this was just a gag and a joke. But why would you joke about that? Why would you literally joke about that type of thing, knowing that you yourself just had allegations just a few months ago and you're walking around as a free man? You would think you would be a little bit more concerning and consoling for this, right? Because this is your fellow peers of the NBA, so to speak. No, not Gil. Not Gil at all. So, needless to say, Gilbert I don't think necessarily is involved in this particular, well, even if he is involved in this particular case. What you just witnessed right there was a few players that were nervous seeing the informant lunch, and then you saw some players that were just obviously just joking around back with him, right? Because they didn't have anything to hide. Notice how that always is, right? The person that's quiet, not necessarily making jokes and things like that, they don't want to be seen or heard or anything like that because they don't want to say anything stupid. Notice those people were very quiet and scrunched up their face and things like that. Those are the people you have to watch out for because they might have something to do with something and just not be saying anything, right? With Gil, why would you come on there with an informant lunch? Even insinuating that you were being a snitch for the police. Why would you even insinuate something like that, right?
They put that statement out there. That wasn't a joking statement. That was that when they put that statement out there, that wasn't a joking statement. That was like, wait, what? The fuck I got to do with this?
Trying to be Doogie House?
You're too famous. Like you're too big to be putting my name in something like for clicks and views and trying to tie something because people really believe this shit. And it kind of irritated the fuck out of me.
Inspector Ratchet.
No, like I'm gonna just be honest. I was so willing to basically go on live or just go on and tell everybody who the person is But I was like, well, wait a minute. If I do that, will that kind of fuck my case up because they mad at me? Like if the DA from that case, I just did this, is he gonna like try to talk to this nigga? Like I was trying to figure that shit out, or should I just wait till that case is over with, and then they start taking stands, and then you can see who it is, and then I sue people after. I was hot.
Different America.
I'm still kind of hot.
It's a different America. All right.
Your gambling crew gets caught months after you. They got caught. You know the game that they're using for Chauncey was 2019. That's when that game happened back then. Has nothing to do with me. Like the sad part is the person's right in front of their face, and these niggas is looking at me like, this is right there. Just read.
Go on a different note. Okay, Mo Nix NYC in the building.
I know it says allegedly, so I can't sue her. She used perfect wording. She's perfect. I can't sue her.
She is a public figure, though, Gil.
I know, but I can't. I can't because she said allegedly. But the fact that you are even alleging.
Ladies and gentlemen, you could say a lot of shit by just adding allegedly to the front of it.
No, facts. That get you out of a lot of shit.
It gets you out of a lot of situations.
Oh yeah, y'all know. But listen, you get on my wrong side. You get on my wrong side. Like I start digging into your life.
Oh, maybe that's why he does it.
Digging into your life. I call the DMV. Let's go, Russ. I call my DMV people. Have them go through where they live. What's the addresses? Yeah. I get all of that.
I think Russ will be starting in the near future. But this is a different game for Russ.
I like Russ like this too. Either way, both of them.
But what I'm saying, Russ is going to play different tonight because he's playing against a team whose jersey he played for and refused to sign. You know it's beef with the Lakers. Mark Walter, Genie, whoever. Bron, AD, Will Smith, Darvin Ham, doesn't matter.
Yeah, allegedly get you out a lot of stuff, or I heard. Right? So when you're talking about just for defamation, so people can understand what defamation is. It's provable facts, right? So something I can prove that's not considered opinion. So if I said, hey, yeah, you're a deadbeat dad, how do you prove you aren't one? Or how do you prove you're not one? Because it's my opinion. Like you say, well, I have my kids 50% of the time. You're a deadbeat, right? You should have them 100% of the time. So it's my opinion. Now, if you say, oh, yeah, he has STDs. Okay, I can prove I don't. Because I can just go get a test, or I can open up my records to show I didn't have one or never had one. Now I can sue you. In this case, everybody who didn't use allegedly, you said, I'm the snitch that started this. Well, I can prove that. Easy. Never had a conversation with law enforcement. There's already somebody on record that already has that title. I have nothing to do with this. I can prove that. So once the case is over with or whatever, or once it keeps going, then you guys will figure it out, because obviously at some point, and then I get to sue because obviously I wasn't that when you called it to me. You know, she wasn't trying to be funny. She wasn't trying to be funny.
I thought it was an attempt at I'll
do this for you guys. Only in this chat. Let me ask you one question, and your answer, just keep that same theory, okay? Why would you say I'm the snitch? Go, Joe. Why would I be the snitch?
Because you did say that you would snitch.
I said I was snitch, and I got in what? I got what?
The number one sports show on YouTube.
No, nigga. I got arrested, right?
Yeah, and you got out.
So I got arrested.
And you got out the same day. But I will say this, yeah. I will say this. Let me interrupt you. Chauncey Billups got arrested. Got out the same day.
Okay. So basically, I
ain't seen shit on Damon Jones. I don't know where that nigga's at. I haven't seen Damon Jones pop.
So I got arrested, and I jokingly said I was snitch on my case, right? So you're using that I got arrested for me to get less time. I have to snitch on someone. Correct? Are we on the same page, right? You said you'll tell on everybody in my case. But that y'all we good so far. Because I got arrested, the theory is I will snitch to get less time. Am I good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? We good so far? Yes.
Did you have any time to get?
Now let me ask y'all a question then. Are y'all using that same logic on the two niggas that got arrested in this case first?
I don't know.
What happened to the two niggas who got arrested in this case?
Loose lip sync ships.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, like, ta-da! Like you just start with the first fucking two. There's two people in the case, the same case, got arrested first, correct? You feel me? Like I'm trying to figure, like, are y'all getting it? All right. My case is a whole nother case, and you're using that logic with me. I'm trying to figure out what you. Oh, let me see. No, that's not it. Can someone pull it up? Because I don't want to say. Can you pull it up somehow?
I was gonna say what Gil is getting at is the same thing that we all been getting at already. They're looking into everybody.
Happened in 2023. Can you please pull it up? Is there anything that has to do with this case that started in 2022? Please.
Ghost 077. James Bond Jr.
Yeah. No, not Shank. No. Okay, yeah, I see that. Here we go. Here we go. Bingo. Now, all you have to do is start with ground zero. Obviously, go from there. Then I will take you to someone else, and then that.
He's trying to say, without saying it, of course, that it's multiple people, it's multiple stars, and when he's saying start from ground zero, he's trying to say start with the league. He without saying it, because that, of course, would be defamation of character. And or just not defamation, just defamation in general. Yes, defamation of character. I forgot, but defamation. If he was to say the NBA was in on the rigged games,
person will take you to, like, how the fuck are y'all not?
I get it. It's like, why are you not putting?
And that's what pisses me off, because the information is right here in plain sight, and you use my name, and that's what fucking bothers me. That's the problem.
Gilbert is a confidential informant
from a whole nother case state.
That's unfortunate. Shout out Mo Nix NYC. It's #free.
Like I said, and Gil's right. It's like, yo, if you find one person, you're gonna find the next, and then you're gonna find the next, and you're gonna notice there's a certain pattern. You're gonna notice who's actually behind it. It's the actual leagues themselves, allegedly. That's how the league keeps money on the side, or reinvest their money, I should say.
a rich uncle, go rob a bank, bring them to me after the interest stops. And they said, look, how are you going to pay me back? You got a rich uncle, go rob a bank. I don't care what you do. Bring me my money. You see they're scared. Say, all right, I got another way to work this out. Here's how we're going to do it. Okay, you're a quarterback. Okay, you're favored to win by 10 points. The first 3 times you get the ball, you put it in the hands of the other receiver. Put it in the defensive men's hands. You're a running back. You get the ball, you put it on the ground. First 3 times. You let me worry about the rest. You're going to do this until I tell you you're not doing it anymore. That's how I'll get my money back. What are they going to do? They're stuck.
And they always did that. They
had to
shave points in order not to pay back their gambling debt.
They had no choice. Either that
Okay.
or, the threat is we're going to put you in a hospital, And
Right.
I
You
didn't have
can't
to
play at
say
all.
that, but they knew that. Because what I would tell them is straight out, I says, one thing you don't understand, whether you're here, any city in the country, or you're in Vegas, you're going to pay your debt. You're not going to get away with it. You owe a gambling debt you have to pay. And if you don't pay, there's serious consequences. So just work along with us. And that's it. That's all you had to say.
Have you ever had to actually hurt a person who didn't want to go along with this?
You know what? I'm being honest with you. I personally didn't. And it was very rare that you did, because if you get an athlete to work with you 2 or 3 games, pretty well you're going to get your money back, unless you let him go and get into you for millions, which nobody's going to do. Nobody's going to do, because they know at that point there's nothing to gain. But did I hear of guys getting hurt? Yeah. But it was rare. I want to be honest, because you didn't have to do that.
Okay, now you don't have to name any names, but these guys that were shaving points, can you tell me the team and the position that they played at the time? And there's multiple quarterbacks, there's multiple running backs. People won't know exactly who we're talking about, but can you tell me the team name and the position of these guys that had to shave points for you?
I got in trouble once, okay, when I did an interview for a big network, and they tried to get me to do this, and I said, look, I'm not going to name names. First of all, it's going to open up a whole big thing. I know as soon as I say somebody, this is going to go wide, and I can't do that, and it's not going to accomplish anything. So let me tell you this. Were there New York teams involved? Yeah. Were there teams around the country involved? Yes. Some people point to games where they can swear that had to be something done, and in some cases they might be right. It was a little bit obvious. But look, it happens. There's no question about it. And it's going to continue to happen. Not as much on a pro level, because these guys are making so much money. But you got to watch out for referees. Let me tell you this. Let me set this up and see if this makes sense to you. You got a referee in an NBA game, okay? You got the Lakers now favored to win by 10 points. Favored to win by 10 points. It's Christmas time. This referee, okay, needs some extra money. Maybe it's something in his family, a sickness or whatever. Maybe he needs a few. Who knows what he might need money for? Okay? The Lakers are favored to win by 10 points. Okay, you know this. A referee can call a foul every time these players move down the court, or he doesn't have to call it if he misses it, right? So let's say Lakers are favored to win by 10. He puts a bet against the spread. Remember, it's the spread. It's not winning or losing. So how does he manipulate that? He puts LeBron James on the bench with 3 extra fouls. Keeps him down there 3, 4, 5 minutes longer. He does that the same with 1 or 2 of their key players. He can manipulate that spread so easily over a period of time that common sense tells you, okay, it could happen. Now, is every referee honest and upright? I'll leave that for you to decide.
See, that's the thing, right? That's what I said. They're going to go down the pipeline of all these people that are betting. They're going to go down the pipeline of all these people. Gilbert is a confidential informant. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to go down the pipeline of everybody. From rooter to tutor. That's why I even showed the clip of MC Hammer getting into sports betting in Europe. They're going to go down the pipeline of everybody. This isn't going to stop with just the NBA. And they invite and convict the NBA. It's going to be a few. It's going to be a few. Okay, so. All right. Did I have more? No, that was pretty much it. Okay, so I'm going to be streaming a lot tomorrow, and I won't be streaming much of Marvel Rivals on Twitch. I will be back here for an early show. I will be back here once again for a early show. I will be posting it on YouTube in the morning of what time I'll be going live. And we're going to have a very, very, very long show tomorrow. I'm talking about like 6-7 hour show tomorrow. So I'm going to get off here for now and let some of you get some sleep because it is Monday night. I know a lot of you have work in the morning, so I'm going to be a gracious host, of course, and let you guys go. No, I'm just kidding. If you would like to help me out in any way, shape, form, or fashion, as I put in the description before, we do have a small, and I mean very, very small, $50 goal this week. I am back on the goals, so I'm so I'm consistent and bring myself back here. I think I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, damn, everybody's not leaving, but everybody's kind of like on the iffy side with Twitch right now because of all the drama that happened last week and everything like that. But where does that leave me, who's also a gamer, but then also a podcaster? So I'm like, right now I might as well just stay on YouTube for a little bit in case some other bullshit does happen with Twitch. Because even though I love Twitch, I still have a family here on YouTube that does like to see me, even though I don't get, I get demonetized like a motherfucker. But anyway, it's always worth it. It's always worth it. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So I was thinking about just how is it that I wanted to be on Twitch now? Now all of a sudden everybody's going back to YouTube because of what happened with Twitch and the emotional distress. People getting assaulted on camera. We're gonna get into that tomorrow as well too. So I forgot about playing that, getting that video about Nina and Zoe Spencer. If you guys don't know who that is, they're streamers, very popular streamers, and one got their account suspended due to the meeting and things like that. So, I'll say like the meeting or whatever happened at said situation. But this makes you wonder: am I meant to be on YouTube? Am I meant to just do this on YouTube and then please the people that way, clean the content up, things like that. Be a little bit more censored and just do things on the wild side and wild way all this week that I would love to hit. You guys will see me again tomorrow and on Wednesday and on Thursday and on Friday. You guys will see me this entire week on things that we have to cover. So I bid you all adieu. I'm going to, call it the night and lay myself down to sleep. It has been real. The Cash App is there on the left-hand side of the screen if you guys would like to help out the $50 goal. It is the Chill Murray one. I'll put it in the chat. I don't know why. It's looks like it's a little bit vague there. All right, now that's in there. And then tomorrow we'll get into Drake and his merch, YBZ. Hell, you might even get into King's Day with Trump. What happened with Zoe and Nina. Got a few things up my sleeve the way I'll be on here for the next couple of days. But just saying. We've already been here for, like I said, 3 hours. I started early because I wanted to make sure that I got my usual suspects, of course, my usual people that do hang around. Of course, I know they don't come in until a little bit later. So I wanted to make sure I got that part out the way. Or I should say get the pod out the way a little bit earlier than I would start like 10 o'clock my time and then try to stay up until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm 37 years old. My eyes get tired nowadays. I'm sorry. I will be going to sleep. I will be taking my ass to sleep from now on. Sleep is starting to catch up to me. Is at that point. My body is starting to catch up to me. Like, nigga, go to sleep. So, I'm going to take its advice. And you guys will see me early tomorrow. I'm going to give a guesstimate time by maybe 2 or 3 o'clock. But yeah, you guys will see me very, very early on tomorrow. So, with that being said, I shall see y'all on the next one.
The sound of a crescendo. He came into her apartment. He left bloodstains on the carpet. As she ran around the table, he could see she was unable. When she ran into the bedroom, she was struck down. It was your doom. Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sound at the window. Then he struck you a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment. He left bloodstains on the carpet. Then you ran into the bedroom. You were struck down, it was your doom. Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been hit by a smooth criminal. So they came into the outway. It was Sunday, what a black day. Mother was resuscitation, signing heartbeats, intimidation. Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? There's a sound at the window. Then he struck you a crescendo, Annie. He came into your apartment. He left bloodstains on the carpet. Then you ran into the bedroom. You were struck down. It was your doom. It was your doom. It was your doom.